talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Toby Gillis. Jean-Philippe Mateta's move to AC Milan is the great will he, won't he switch on deadline day. talkSPORT's football correspondent Alex Crook is unsure if he'll be red and blue still tonight or rossoneri.
We know that he started a medical in London yesterday. Milan have flown over their own doctor to undergo further tests on a suspect knee issue. At the moment, they've not gone back to Crystal Palace and said the deal is in doubt or they're trying to knock down the fee.
Well, if that one does stall, will it have a knock-on effect on Palace's record deal for Jørgen Strand Larsen? He's passed the medical and is waiting to sign from Wolves. Meanwhile, Palace also want a defender and have been offered Ethan Pinnock by Brentford. All the latest deadline day movers and shakers are at talksport.com. Martin Keown has told talkSPORT Paul Scholes' comment that Arsenal will be the worst ever Premier League champions is like one of his tackles, waist high. Scholes has since backtracked, saying he meant most boring champions. Is that backtrack? Now, you thought we had it bad with VAR. Try being Flamengo in the Brazilian Super Cup. They went off at half-time with 11 men on the pitch, only to emerge for the second half to watch the ref, with no warning, go to the VAR booth before kick-off and send off midfielder Jorge Carrascal for an elbow that happened in the first half. Harry Brooks' England white ball captaincy predecessor insists he should keep the captaincy despite his lies about an altercation in a New Zealand nightclub before the Ashes. Here's Joss Butler.
He's a very natural leader. He's incredibly calm, tactically reads the game brilliantly, leads with the bat. Like the way he plays is fantastic. And I think he's got an incredible mindset. He doesn't seem fazed by much.
And women's rugby's rise continues. Scotland have sold over 19,000 tickets for their Six Nations match with England in April. That's more than have ever turned out for any single women's sporting event in the country.
talkSPORT News.
A serial killer has pleaded guilty to the murder of teenager Victoria Hall in Felixstowe in Suffolk in 1999. And MP Dan Norris has been further arrested on suspicion of sexual offences. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Drizzly for most today, heavier in the northeast, increasingly windy throughout the afternoon, with heavier rain arriving this evening.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us.
Well, coming up.
Oh, blimey. What's coming up? Come on, you're keen.
I'm so keen.
You're so excited, aren't you?
Because it's deadline day. I'm so excited.
I can tell you. Yeah.
As you may have gathered, yes, it is transfer deadline day. So we're keeping you in touch with everything that's going on both here and across Europe ahead of the window closing at 7 p.m.
We, of course, won't be neglecting the Premier League, so Danny Kelly joins us as always to go game by game through the weekend, and we'll look ahead to tonight's talkSPORT commentary game, the remaining Premier League fixture between Sunderland and Burnley.
Well, I might be neglecting that one.
Oh, you might be neglecting that one?
No, I'll watch the second half. There's all this, plus football agent Phil Smith is with us shortly to tell us what we expect from the next 6 hours. And Jim Daly, comedian and fan of one of the more active clubs in the market, Crystal Palace, on having the worst season ticket in the world.
Jim says he has the worst season ticket in the world. You can make your own mind up a little bit later on, but it is 5 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy. And for those on connected TV and YouTube, you can see we have splashed out on a spectacular background to our studio.
yes, look at that. Oh,
There's Jim's
tremendous.
yellow tie hanging up. He'll be back, of course,
Tremendous,
at 6:30 tonight. We got Alan's living room, all that money in it. Big Alan's, all the trophies in the background. Harry Redknapp behind us. So, you're not going to miss a thing. We'll be right across it. Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, is going to be in and out throughout the afternoon. Once he got in, I saw him in the kitchen on his phone. So he's going to that's his day.
That is his day.
That is his day today.
I've got a transfer rumour, though.
Oh, yeah?
I've got a transfer rumour from and about Amadou Onana.
Oh, yeah?
He says, I think one day I'll make a transfer to a club that is world class. Talk about talking yourself out the door.
Is that what he said?
Yeah,
fantastic.
Apparently, yeah. Could be on it. I could be on my way. He said.
You said you're going to watch Sunderland Burnley second half tonight, and your theory is that you might as well not watch the first half of football matches. I would agree with that based on what I saw yesterday
and Saturday.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was moaning so much in the first half. I felt sorry for the people in front of me.
Wow.
I was even getting on my own nerves. Honestly, it was so poor.
Yeah.
I just don't get this rotation thing. We'll talk about this with Danny. It's madness. Just spell one or two players. Give Fernandes a day off. Give Caicedo a day off. 2 at the most.
Yeah.
Don't keep changing. Make it 7 changes.
It's very early for him. He's still feeling his way in, but at least he put it right, I mean.
I spent the whole journey home going, how is Badiashile a footballer? How did he become a football player? He's absolutely not.
You know how hard it. You remember the old Nick Hornby, Gus Seeds thing? How hard it is to become a professional footballer.
I don't get it. I just don't. I mean, whoever bought him and Disaster.
Well, he was on earlier wondering how you ever became a broadcaster.
But he's right.
The feeling's mutual.
Well,
really.
he's probably right, actually. Yeah. Except I've lasted for 26 years. I don't think he will.
Somehow. You've obviously got something on the management. I mean, you've never quite told me what it is. So, yeah, Crookie's going to be up with us throughout the afternoon. I mean, the big...
However terrible I am, I'm better than Benoit Badiashile.
Okay, fair enough.
View.
Well, they are proud boast.
Thank you.
The Jacquet deal to Liverpool, no one quite saw that coming. The nature of it, because he's going to be coming in the summer, and they've spent big money on him. He's highly rated. Are you a bit sad of missing out?
Not at all.
No, you don't. You know.
No, I was so angry. I didn't want them to buy him. They don't need him. They've got Mamadou Sarr, who's coming back from
Strasbourg.
He just won the African Cup of Nations with Senegal. Rosenior knows him, has played with him.
Yeah.
And they've got Achimpong, who's brilliant. So what would be the point of buying somebody that block their path?
Yeah. Whereas Liverpool do need him, of course.
Liverpool do need him.
And that's good business from their point of view.
It's just constantly, I mean, yes, for every Esteval that they bought at Chelsea, the 80-odd million they spent on Badiashile and Disasi, I don't know how these people are still...
Well, Disasi could be off today, of course, couldn't he? He's weighing up a move to West Ham.
Yeah, he's a good
that's one of
pro,
the
you know.
deals
I
of the
mean,
day.
I wish him well. I hope he does find a club for, you know.
Yeah.
He deserves
Well, look, what we do Crookie will be here shortly to set the scene. But what we do every transfer deadline day is we chat to top football agent Phil Smith just to get a feel for what's likely to happen in what is now under 6 hours. And God bless him, he's joined us again today. Good afternoon, Phil.
Afternoon, Paul. Hi, Andy.
A lovely 6 months
that's
chat.
good.
6 months chat. It's great.
You look just as good as you did.
You
six
did. You
months
don't
ago.
look. Yeah, that's it.
I'll settle for that.
We're all still here. That's the good thing. So, yeah, I mean, what have you made of the window so far? Has it been quieter than you imagined it would be at the start of the month, Phil?
I think there's trends that come out of various windows. I mean, here you've seen loans that were potentially going to be for the whole season being cut short, with players being sold, recalled and sold. Zinchenko, Tammy Abraham, that one might have been slightly different, but you've got players coming in 6 months into the season or halfway through that may not have ordinarily have featured till the end of the season. Loans are expensive, so if players aren't being used or they're not going to fulfil the criteria to be bought, then clubs have got to decide what they're going to do with them. So I think that takes account for a couple like that. Big deal in the offing today for Benoit Badiashile. No, I'm only joking.
Oh, shame.
Just to show I'm listening.
Yeah.
But loans are mini transfers now. There's probably more loans with options or obligations, as they say, as transfers. So, and I think the clubs want to move these players on as quick as they can, so they're not stuck with them through the summer.
Do you think clubs are as diligent about loans? I mean, you do look at Harvey Elliott's situation. There's such an odd situation. He's a good player, but they've done this deal with him, and they obviously don't fancy him. Right. So they're now left with the position of, do they play him and then have to buy him, or does he play 9 games and that's the end of his Villa career?
Yeah, you often wonder about the structure of the deals when the agents sit down with the other clubs, and sometimes it's to the detriment of to the client, isn't it?
Well, it's convenient to blame the agent. We're always the scapegoat. In truth, you would have thought that Harvey Elliott would have decided, OK, I've got a real shot of getting into a club that are going to be challenging. The club are challenging. Unfortunately, he's not playing. Whether that's... You have to question why the head coach took him in if he wasn't going to be a key component in the side. But it's squad games now, not just starting 11s. And their starting 11 has become quite... it hasn't changed a lot because they're being successful.
Yeah, it's fixed.
I always expound this theory that this window could be good for those players that want to play in a World Cup that aren't getting game time, so you could pick up pretty good quality loan players. But there hasn't been a great deal of that, has there? We haven't seen maybe players coming in from Europe that want to feature in World Cups and are looking for a bit of regular football.
I think that's very much in the thinking, the World Cup. I wrote it down there under deal factors. But in truth, I think it's more for the players that are established, would hope that they're going to be part of it, but because they've not been playing a lot, then looking to get out and get some game time. So, no, I don't think there has been. But, there's 48 teams in the World Cup this year, or 48 countries. So there's a lot of players going to feel they had the opportunity to participate.
You've got Angel Gomez, for example, who's played for England and has gone off to France. Now he's going to come back. It looks like he's going to join Wolves on loan. Not a great move on the face of it, but if it puts him in the shop window and Tuchel gets to see him and he plays well, who knows?
I mean, it's going to be
quite... It's very late for someone like him. I think that's more of a career move to get him back on track.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to shine with respect to Wolves. I mean, we've already seen what they're doing. They're bringing in Adam Armstrong with respect to they're kind of gearing up for the Championship, aren't they?
True.
So, we've often talked to you over the years, for in the many years we've been doing this and chatting to you on deadline day, and often one has come out of left field. I mean, the fact it now closes at 7 makes that a whole lot harder. But do you think there could be one that makes us all go, wow, today?
I've been trying to analyse it and I can't see one, if I'm honest. I've read there's something came out on Sky today about Arsenal making a move for Tonali, which... That would fall into that category. I don't think there's a cat in hell's chance of that. So, no, I don't see it. It's huge money now. And there are scapegoats within the clubs now for getting that wrong, even though a lot of the owners take it upon themselves. So I think they have to think again before they act on something like that, unless it's already a long way down the line and for some reason hasn't been picked up yet, but that doesn't seem to happen anymore.
I think there was a feeling, certainly amongst the fans, including me, that Tottenham might have done a bit more. I thought
Spurs would do.
We were hearing there was 100 million to spend. All they've really done is netted off the Conor Gallagher, Johnson money, and they've bought Sousa, the young Brazilian lad who was on the bench yesterday, but that was probably out of necessity. So are you surprised that they've not been more active in the market?
Well, they have got a sporting director at the moment, but their main sporting director is leaving and going to Fiorentina. The manager, or head coach as he is, his position seems under review, even hopefully if that's not the case. I'm not saying that for any reason other than the fact he's earned the right to go to a big club like that. So, players that are prospectively coming in are thinking, well, who am I signing for if it gets that far? So... they've not got a bad squad. They've got injuries, horrendous injuries. And when those players come back, those that are coming in would need to know that they're certain starters.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that. I saw Charlie Austin saying a similar thing on Daly earlier on, saying, why, with respect, if you're a player, what have Spurs got to offer you at the moment? It could be in a relegation fight. They are in the Champions League, etc. But have you had players in the past say, I just don't fancy it. It doesn't smell right to me. It could be around the manager. It could be around where they are in the league. That does happen, does it?
People, with everything so data-oriented now, players don't want to have relegation next to their name, even though those that go and help a club out of that situation can be lauded even more. What do? Go to a smaller club, but a club that's in trouble that you help go up the table and stay in that respective division, or do you go somewhere that's a bigger club where you don't play much part in it? So I think that's, players need to be playing football. Players want to play football, and that's got to be the first requirement.
Yeah, there might be some last-minute loans for that,
There could be. Well, look, we'll keep an eye on it. Phil, a pleasure as always. Catch up with you
Thanks, guys.
In 6 months. All the best.
Take care.
Take care. There's top football agent Phil Smith there with his take on the window. So there we are. He's not expecting anything out of left field, but, we've been there before, haven't we, really? And suddenly a deal can get a little bit of momentum. So Alex Crook's going to come in and set the scene for us this afternoon. Go and check out, as well as watching us this afternoon and listening to us, talksport.com. We've got all the very latest news on the transfer market. And so we'll have regular updates, and we'll be around Europe later on. Andy Brustle's going to be looking at some of the deals that could be done, and in the Championship, EFL and Scotland, etc. That's all to come. We're here, as always, with our good friends at Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station.
They seem like a different team. You know, Fernandes is picking the ball up in areas he wants to, and it looks like he's controlling that midfield. You know, you've got Mainu who's come back into it. He's really, you know, amazing performances, really, when he hasn't played in the Premier League since probably May, isn't it? Something like that. So, you know, certain players have come back in, Ben, and, you know, it looks like they've been let off the leash. And some of the goals against Man United, against Arsenal, Cunha's goal was a fantastic winner. But even the second and first goal, Burmo took it so well.
Yeah, I think United have had these players. They've had players that are verging on the edge of world class. They've had them for the last couple of seasons, but they just haven't been able to show it. They haven't been able to go out there and express themselves and play with a smile on the face. I know this system. We all know this system didn't really suit Man United with three at the back, and it wasn't rocket science to change it to four. It really wasn't. So I think everybody is on board with this kind of confidence, and now everybody. But you look at the fixtures they've got as well: Spurs, West Ham, Everton, Palace. The next 4 games. That guy, the one who hasn't cut his hair for a while, the United Strand guy.
Strand, yeah.
I'm thinking that he doesn't want these to be wins, you know. I'm thinking, like, what's he going to do for content afterwards? So, they've got a massive chance now. They win these 4 games, they're absolutely flying.
Yeah, I mean, they have been just a breath of fresh air recently.
Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT on transfer deadline day. We're right across all the deals and prospective deals and all the rumours. talkSPORT.com is the place to be this afternoon. Keep an eye on that. We'll keep you updated. Alex Crook is going to be joining us throughout the afternoon. He's popped in to see us for the first time. Good afternoon, Crookie.
Afternoon.
I just talked to Phil Smith there. He's not expecting one of those mad out-of-nowhere left field deals. Are you of a similar mind?
Yeah, it all seems very calm, actually, checking in with clubs and agents and even players themselves. I think the big talking point is whether this Jean-Philippe Mateta move to Milan actually goes ahead. Obviously, Palace waiting to announce Jürgen Strand-Larsen, but I think a lot of the big clubs are keeping their powder dry. Liverpool, in fairness, swooped in last night to get a deal agreed for Jeremy Jacquet, the very talented young defender at Rennes, but he won't be coming in until the summer.
Saved Chelsea 50 million quid.
You're not too downbeat about that, are you?
They didn't need him. So what would be the point?
Yeah, it's not a reflection on him as a player.
No,
it's just you didn't need him. Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, he's very good, and he's Liverpool do need reinforcement.
You've got Colwell coming back. You've got Achimpong, and you've got.
The lad from Strasbourg.
Yes.
Sarr.
Yeah. That's not been confirmed yet, is it? That he's on his way back. But I think it probably will happen between now and the end of the day. More managerial news from the Championship. We reported yesterday on the talkSPORT website that Valérien Ismaël at Blackburn was in big trouble. No wins in 9 in all competitions. In the last few minutes, Blackburn have confirmed Valérien Ismaël has left the club. Right. They say by mutual consent he's been sacked.
Yeah.
And Slaven Bilic is a name that I've heard as a potential successor, which might be an interesting one. But they're bang in trouble, Blackburn, at the wrong end of the Championship. They've got Sheffield Wednesday at home tomorrow. When you look at Sheffield Wednesday's plight, they're losing Bailey Cadamarteri to Wrexham on deadline day. Yeah. That's a game that Blackburn simply have to win.
So Strand-Larsen at the moment is probably doing a Peter Odin wing. He's hovering around London, waiting to go and hold the shirt up and do all that, but he can't do that until they know what's going on with Mateta. Well, he's medical.
As far as I know, he's passed his medical, Strand-Larsen.
Right, yeah.
So that's obviously a big hurdle that he's overcome. We know the club record fee was agreed yesterday, slightly less than they were looking at last week.
Still a lot of money.
But still 48 million with the add-ons.
Last year's potential.
Yeah, and I am told actually that those add-ons are not particularly achievable. So this is more like a £43 million deal than a £48 million one, unless Crystal Palace were to
win the Premier League.
Yeah, win the Premier League or qualify for Europe, which at the moment seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
Now, the interesting one, the mad one today, absolutely mad, that you kind of thought that's never going to happen, was Sandro Tonali from Newcastle to Arsenal, which popped up earlier on this morning. Yeah, well, where's that come from?
Well, that lasted for about 15 seconds before my Newcastle sources quite strongly shot that one down. Obviously, Tonali, part of that midfield trio, isn't he, with Joe Linton and Guimaraes, which really is the key to any success that Newcastle have. So clearly they're not going to sell him on deadline day. I can see why Arsenal would be attractive.
Sure.
And maybe this is one that we could revisit in the summer. They've lost Mikel Merino. They are
That's how
looking
that
around.
Come about.
Yeah, I think so. But they are looking around potentially for a replacement. But it's a difficult one to do on deadline day. And the only way that they would get Tonali is if they slapped 100 million quid on the table. They're not going to do that, are they, realistically?
More interesting is the Hearts one. Is that what you're going to mention? The Hearts
one? James Wilson, the young 18-year-old striker for Hearts. And I was thinking, when I saw this, maybe they'll buy him now, a bit like Liverpool have done with Jacquet, and then loan him back to Hearts. But that's not the case, Crookie.
No, it looks like they want to take him on loan initially for the rest of the season and then look at signing him permanently in the summer. But you do wonder how much football he would play between now and the end of the season. He's got 8 goals in 21 starts for Hearts, which is pretty impressive, but it's a big step up, isn't it, for a teenager?
And they're still pushing for the title, aren't they?
They are. So I think Tony Bloom would probably be reluctant, but how do you stand in a player's way if they get the chance to swap Hearts for Arsenal?
I mean, very unusually for Arsenal, they've got all 3 of their strikers fit at the moment.
Yeah.
So how would he
get him lined up for the summer? I completely understand letting him loan him back. That would make, and he's getting football, but maybe they just want to get him into the Arsenal way in this few months. They see a prospect, but
and if you're James Wilson, it's a difficult offer to turn down, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course.
You think Palace could do a bit more business?
A centre-back. So obviously we mentioned Strand-Larsen already. They're still looking for a replacement for Mark Gay. They're shopping around. We know they've had some bids rejected. Achiampong at Chelsea was one on their radar. That isn't going to happen. The latest name in the frame seems to be Ethan Pinnock at Brentford, who obviously is not part of the first-team picture there.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player. He's had a few injury problems. He hasn't quite been himself when he's come back, but he is a good, decent...
I think that would be more just to get an extra body in the building and then maybe look to bring in one of those big targets in the summer. They've also been linked with Ruben Kluivert, brother of Justin at Bournemouth, son of Patrick. but I'm told to get him out of Lyon in this window probably is financially a bit too expensive.
Angel Gomez, it looks like he's going to Wolves.
Yeah, he's having his medical today. That one should be confirmed. Interesting deal, really, because there is a buy option included. I'd be surprised if Angel Gomez stays permanently in the Championship next season. I think what he's probably looking at is, if I'm playing week in, week out in the Premier League, maybe I can catch Thomas Tuchel's eye because he was in the squad when Lee Carsley was there. But also, I think if he does well, then come the summer, he'll be hoping there'll be other established Premier League clubs who might want to keep him.
I'm surprised there weren't more, with respect to Wolves, I should caveat that. You have to, I think. It's in the commentators and the broadcasters' handbook. But I'm surprised more other clubs weren't interested in Angel Gomez, that there were clubs further up the food chain.
Yeah, West Ham were mentioned to me because they tried to sign him before he went to Marseille from Lille in the summer, but that didn't seem to really go anywhere. I think their priorities were elsewhere. Looks like they're going to get Axel Disasi over the line on deadline day. He's been given permission.
What sort of signing is he, Andy, from their point of view?
I think a decent signing. He's a decent player. He's not great. He's not top class, but he's a lot better than Badiashile. I mean, you know.
You're not a fan of Badiashile, are you? Aptly named.
I hope he's not listening.
First three letters of his surname.
I just don't get who looked at this player and thought, this is a bloke that could thrive in the Premier League.
Wow.
His distribution is terrible. His defending is awful. I don't get it.
Lovely upbeat scouting report.
One player I do rate is Tyreek George, and I think Everton are getting a good player there. Again, strange business from Chelsea. You buy Gittins, he's got potential, but is he better than George? Is he? I don't see it. No. I can't see why they spent 50 million on a player in the summer for a player they already had. Now they're going to basically send him out on loan, and maybe they'll get 30 million.
You know, and Everton are pushing for Europe, aren't they? I mean, they're behind you at the moment.
6 points behind.
You could be making them stronger.
Yeah, speaking of David Moyes after the game at Brighton at the weekend, I think he does quietly fancy his team's chances of mounting a push for Europe, which maybe we didn't see coming at the start of the season. They've tried to get Harry Wilson as well out of Fulham, but Fulham have made it clear that he's staying at least until the summer. Then he'll be a free agent. I think he probably will move on. But Tyreek George, it goes under the radar. But I remember the game against Fulham. I think it was live on talkSPORT last season when you were struggling.
Yeah, he scored.
And he came on, he turned the game around, and that played a big part in Chelsea getting in the Champions League.
He scored a brilliant goal in the League Cup for Chelsea.
Just finally, Crookie,
he's a good player.
On the Fulham front, Ricardo Pepe, it's been about a week or so they've been talking about getting him out of PSV. It seems it's not one of those deals. Obviously, they had to get someone in. They probably had ideas who they wanted to get in to replace him, and they've not been able to do that. So this deal looks like it's in real jeopardy.
Yeah, it was on, then it was off again, then it was on yesterday, and then it was off again this morning. I think his camp is still hoping it can be revived, but my sources at Fulham are saying this is dead now, and one that they'll look to revisit.
And that's they've earmarked like 37 million quid, a lot of money, and that was an area they wanted to improve. So I mean, it's too late to spend that kind of money and find somebody else.
Yeah, I think they're content with the business they've done, and they'll try and revisit it in the summer. But it is an area where they're a bit short, isn't it? Because obviously you've got Raul Jimenez, who scored the penalty yesterday. Rodrigo Muniz has been injured more than he's been fit this season. I think, again, a bit like Everton, there's an opportunity for Fulham to push for Europe, but I think without that extra striker, that extra bit of firepower, they might struggle to do so.
So we're going to let you hit the phones, and you're going to be popping in throughout the afternoon.
Indeed.
And keeping us updated. Let's hope that, suddenly, just out of nowhere, we get...
Mbappe to Shrewsbury.
Raheem Sterling, you don't sense... I mean, there'll be takers, won't there, as we get closer to 7 o'clock, but he might just bide his time.
He's not in any rush, is the impression I get, because obviously he's been paid up by Chelsea, so he's a free agent. That means he doesn't have to complete his next move by the time the window closes. Assume that clubs in Europe or in the Premier League have still got a slot in their squad available.
Yeah.
Then that's a move that could happen at any time.
Any time, yeah. Brilliant. Okay, cheers, Cookie. Thanks very much. Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, is going to be popping in, as we said, throughout the afternoon and keeping you updated on what's going on in the transfer window. Of course, it closes at 7. Jim might be back at 6:30, the final half hour after the boys on drive. But we are going to go game by game through the Premier League weekend. We'll have an eye on the window, and say Crookie will be popping in with any breaking news. But Danny Kelly's with us once again as we look at all the games so far. Just to remind you, one more commentary to come: Sunderland versus Burnley this evening on talkSPORT from 7.
looking at the points, they're on the same points as Crystal Palace. They're 2 in front of Leeds. They're 3 in front of Forest. They're 8 ahead of West Ham. They haven't won, though, in any of their last 5 games in the Premier League when they've played Burnley, West Ham, Bournemouth, Sunderland and Brentford. And the next 7 fixtures that they've got look pretty tricky. City at home at the weekend, United away, Newcastle at home, Arsenal at home, Fulham away, Palace at home, Liverpool away, straight after the international break, plus the Champions League fixtures thrown into that. Are they too good to get dragged into a relegation battle?
I think they are. And I think a bigger problem for them as well, Sam, is, like Crookie said there, some of these players are turning up in the Champions League. But are you looking at Simmons and saying, look at the standard of players you're playing against in the Champions League? As well. Yeah, Moani hasn't scored in the Premier League yet. But they're 10 points off Manchester United in 4th position. If I'm the hierarchy at Spurs, I'm saying we want to get back-to-back Champions League seasons. Not going to happen this season because they're miles off. Can you see
them getting back into contention for a European place?
No.
With games against City, United, Newcastle, Arsenal, Fulham and Palace and Liverpool over the next...
They could easily not win a game out of all those games. They could easily not win
he'll be gone if that does happen. You know, he's bought himself a little bit of respite, certainly with a hierarchy. Won't take long for the fans to turn again if they start to struggle against Man City this weekend. If they don't start to put wins on the board, inevitably they're going to make a change.
Solanke could be a player that helps him out. It's looked good to see Solanke back. He's given him that physical presence up front, holding the ball up, linking with players. Took his goal well during the week as well. That is not an easy finish to take your time, composure, put into the corner of the net. So keeping Solanke fit, getting him the service that he needs. But other players have got to turn up. Simmons, Muani, Odebear. You've got to do more.
The young French centre-half Jeremy Jacquet is having his Liverpool medical today. They've beaten Chelsea to Jacquet's signature by allowing him to stay at Rennes till the summer. Liverpool will pay £55 million initially, with £5 million in add-ons. Meanwhile, former Palace chairman Simon Jordan has given his verdict on their deal with Wolves for Jurgen Strand-Larsen.
I don't think he's a good player. No. But ultimately, if Crystal Palace do, then that's the £48 million that they've spent. I would imagine the Mateta deal will go through.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine them spending money that they haven't already recouped.
Elsewhere on deadline day, talkSPORT understands Fulham have rejected Everton's offer for Harry Wilson. Meanwhile, we're hearing the Cottagers' move for PSV striker Ricardo Pepi could still be on. All the latest deals, as always, at talksport.com. Now, Martin Keown has shared his reaction to Paul Scholes saying Arsenal would be the worst team ever to win the title.
Look, I love Paul, but, this is like one of his comments, is like one of his tackles, isn't it? It's waist high.
And England's former white ball captain Jos Buttler is backing his predecessor Harry Brook to keep that job.
He's a very natural leader. He's incredibly calm, tactically reads the game brilliantly, leads with the bat. Like the way he plays is fantastic. And I think he's got an incredible mindset. He doesn't seem fazed by much.
Well, Brook says he lied about that New Zealand nightclub incident ahead of the Ashes to protect his teammates.
Leeds 0, Arsenal 4. What an excellent day for Mikel Arteta's side.
Garner sweeping in the cross from the right-hand side. It comes from Braithwaite, saved by Verbruggen, and then turned in by Beto. Everton
have surely salvaged a point at the Amex.
Chelsea 3, West Ham 2, and it's been coming. It's João Pedro who's put it on a plate for Enzo Fernandez, the skipper, to get Chelsea right out of trouble here.
It's back-to-back wins for Liverpool, and they're under fire, manager, and maybe, just maybe, things are slotting into place.
We thought Villa were level, we thought Tammy Abraham had got his goal on his second debut, but he hasn't. It's Aston Villa 0, Brentford 1, and the game's gone.
Well, is this the moment that he arrives at Manchester United? Come from the right foot of Benjamin Sesko, and what a finish. Manchester United 3, Fulham 2.
Tottenham 2, Manchester City 2, and it's a really clever improvised finish from Solanke.
But I tell you what, you can't smile without talkSPORT and a day of football like that.
Another nuts weekend of Premier League football.
Neither of us were smiling in the first half.
No, we weren't. And we're all very much just for watching the second half. Sunderland Burnley live tonight, as we said on talkSPORT 2, all the deadline fallout with Jim White, Alex Crook and Danny Murphy from 6:30 tonight. Let's go game by game through the Premier League weekend. We'll keep an eye on the window. If anything does break, Alex Crook will be straight in to interrupt our chat and tell us all about it. But good afternoon, Danny Kelly.
Hello, chaps. So you're absolutely right, Paul. This is turning out to be the gap at the top to Arsenal may be taking some of the interest out of it there, but the rest of it, it's just the nuttiest Premier League season ever. You know, if we get a game where two teams play out 1-1 draw, we're going, meh. Yeah. Because so much stuff is happening in every game, in every half, and at the end of every game. It's incredible.
Yeah, it was a real weekend for late goals at Everton, Chelsea, Manchester United. I might be forgetting some of them. So,
we are going to start at the Lane then. Tottenham 2, Manchester City 2. A result I didn't really expect at all at half-time. The sad thing was,
game of two halves.
I know there was a lot of talk about the atmosphere, but the atmosphere wasn't angry in that first half. I think we all looked at the team and thought, wow, we could get it, our backsides handed to us here. And then the team kind of lived down to our expectations in the first half. And it was very flat. It was an apathetic, flat performance. We had no expectations. And then they suddenly came alive in the second half. And it doesn't take much. It just takes a bit of intent, just a little bit of belief. And the place was transformed.
The professional football people, of which I certainly don't count you two and myself, there's an illusion that the crowd must lift the team. The thing that works, and really the only thing that ever really, really works, with one or two exceptions, maybe the Leeds crowd can lift their team occasionally, is the team lifts the crowd, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sure. The two most important moments in that game, one was invisible and one did not result in a goal. The invisible one was the save by Vicario from Ryan Cherky, which was given as a goal kick. If that had gone in, it could have been anything by half-time. The goalkeeper got no credit for it, but he stopped it and changed the game. And the second one, the moment the game changes, is when Spurs come out, depleted further by the loss of their captain, into a new system, and they had one good move. They had nothing in the first half. Udogie has that shot, saved by Donnarumma, and that convinces them and the crowd that they can still get something in the game. And from that moment on, against a Manchester City team, I think they're a waxwork, Manchester City. They might win the title, I don't know, but I think they're a waxwork of the great Manchester City teams, by which I mean is they look like Manchester City from a distance, but as soon as you turn up the central heating, they're inclined to melt away into a sky blue blob, which is what you saw in the latter half of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Tottenham were a bit fortunate. I mean, I thought that Solanke played gooey.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all surprised when we were watching it back on the screen that had been.
If it had been in the area the other way round, it would have been. You would have wanted a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't complaining, but Semenyo did say
Andy,
that
we don't even know what a penalty is. Spurs haven't had one for so long.
No, that's true. We've not had one. Yeah, but Semenyo saying that they almost kind of couldn't get the momentum back. They couldn't get the intensity back, having been so on top and it being so easy in the first half. They probably thought they'd come out and then just put a couple more on and they could coast for the League Cup midweek.
Every time you see Spurs and they're on the front foot, you think, oh, this is a decent
But at the moment, it's always reactive. It's almost when the game has gone in most circumstances. You see them, like the Villa Cup game, they suddenly turn it on when it doesn't matter. What they've got to do is come out like that, as opposed to the sort of thin gruel they normally serve up to.
Well, I presume they know this, Paul, yeah?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not, it isn't rocket science, so why does it not happen?
I don't know. I've no idea. We shouldn't let this go by without mentioning the scorpion kick, though.
Oh, no.
Because the line between, fortune and genius is very, very slim in professional football. I'm going to go for genius there. It was an amazing piece of athleticism.
Giroud, I had a check of Giroud's one because I wanted to have a look. And in a way, I mean, they were both great. But I'd say Solanke was under more pressure. Giroud was actually on his own in the area and had room to make it. Solanke was being challenged as he did it. So maybe, I don't like comparing these things, but both great goals.
Yeah, there certainly was. So look, it was a far more enjoyable second half.
And good work from Gallagher. Who
he set up the second goal.
Put a shift
he
in.
did put a shift in first half. He was
good
doing
work,
his best.
Good cross by Gallagher. Great finish by Rennie Higuita.
Yes, it was a bit Rennie Higuita. Let's have a look at Manchester United 3, Fulham 2. And again, another cracking game. We're watching the tail end of this when we arrived at the stadium for our match. And it was, on the beautiful Kevin goal, you think, wow, they've come away with a point. But that pops Sesko and gets the winner. That's what life is like under Michael Carrick so far.
Well, you for a start, Andy mentioned the late goals. I've written about this elsewhere. The determination of they're going to, the VARs are taking so long. The 5 subs, which tend to be forward players, means they're coming on against tiring defenders. You're going to get more late goals. And also, Michael Carrick has just re-injected a bit of Manchester Unitedism into the actual club. And so they were going to keep going. I did feel a bit sorry for Fulham. I thought were tremendous. It was a great game of football, a madly unstructured Premier League game of the type you see quite often. And it was a really, really. Once Kevin had equalised, I thought that's the gods of football. Fair enough, but well done to Manchester United for keeping going. I mean, obviously, the most important thing, apart from saying let's try and attack again, that Michael Carrick has done, and it's no surprise, the player who plays in his position, Casemiro, has transformed, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's back to being, and I don't know how long he could sustain this, but he has to do it for another few months because he looks like he's going to start in Brazil's midfield in the World Cup. But Michael Carrick played in a similar kind of way, passing, then going to the edge of the box. Casemiro gets more goals, but you can see that he has said to him, look, calm down and just play the way you can play. Great game.
Amorim did United a real favour by not finishing in the top 6 because they've got I see them finishing second. I think
second.
I do. I think second or third because I think I can't see them losing many games between now. They've got the motivation. They've got a week's training in between each game. It's a huge advantage.
It's Resurgent Spurs next Saturday lunchtime on talkSPORT, so don't speak too soon. Yes.
But then Spurs have got a free week, haven't they?
Yes. We haven't got any games
so
yet.
That,
already qualified, Andy.
At least it's a fair fight.
I maintain Raul Jimenez must be a good dancer. Because you're not supposed to stop in your run-up. And he does like the little staggered run-up. He's like James Brown leaving the stage, isn't he? But so he has to keep the momentum, otherwise he can't allow the goal. So how you can stutter that much like an old drunk from a Laura and Hardy film is quite spectacular, isn't it?
Paul, it's literally like when they used to half-time entertainment, and of course this wouldn't be allowed now, you'd have to go to prison, when they used to make young kids run around a stick till they were dizzy and then take a penalty. He's a bit like those, isn't he? The way he sort of, it's I'm going to run, I'm going to stop, I'm going to fall over sideways. It's ludicrous. That rule is just not being imposed, that you can't break your momentum. He almost runs backwards at one stage. And he's going so slowly, the actual rotation of the earth could be taking him backwards.
Yeah,
let's have a controversial award finally on the free kick, I thought, after the penalty was turned down. I mean,
because they found something wrong, didn't they?
Surely it was advantage. If you played the ball into the area, it was or wasn't a foul. Why would you then bring it back? You wouldn't do that.
Bring it back for a free kick, which they scored.
They could have defended it better, but I thought that was a bit of a poor decision.
Forest 1, Palace 1, and the save of the weekend. I mean, what a save! Unfortunately, it's Nico Williams.
Does he go in goal for 5-a-side?
Well, I mean, what a stop!
I mean, when you see these handballs, they're often, you think that is very reflexive and it's very close to his body. That one, he's at full stretch.
Yeah, he was.
But he was annoyed with it. Did you see him swear at himself when he did it? You realised.
I mean, it was.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't get a kicking from Sean Dyche because he said it's just instinctive. The ball's going in. I mean, everybody's done that on a Sunday morning, haven't they? All playing with their mates. You just can't.
Or in the World Cup.
Or in the World Cup, if you're,
Suarez. I wonder if Sean would have been quite so generous if the game hadn't ended level. I'm not sure he would, to be truthful. But
I mean, they had enough. I mean, they still had enough.
Point for both teams.
Yeah, they had enough. We felt to win. They had good chances still, Forest, and even stayed on the front foot with 10 men, which was bold.
I mean, Andy's just used the same word I put in my notes here. It's an important result for Crystal Palace, given the surface chaos they're in. And it was a decent point for Nottingham Forest, particularly after West Ham got hauled back by Chelsea, which we'll no doubt come on to, because that has halted West Ham's progress that was starting to threaten the teams up to and including the sort of Spurs and Brightons of this world.
Absolutely. We're going to come on to Aston Villa versus Brentford. Just a reminder that we're right across transfer deadline day, talksport.com. But you can follow all the story there, of course, throughout the afternoon through to 7 o'clock. And Alex Crook will be popping in with any breaking news. We sort of set the scene 10 minutes ago. As far as we know, nothing has happened subsequently.
Nothing's happened in the last 15 minutes.
So we will keep you right across that. You won't miss a thing. We're here with Tool Station. And you can pick up your wet weather essentials today. Next stop, Tool Station.
Look, Ross the Motherwell fan has texted a little bit cruelly, but says, I might be wrong, but I'm sure it was that sausage Rodri that complained about the length of the grass at Hampden when Mighty Scotland pumped Spain 3-2.
He's right.
Do you think, though, in truth, that Rodri he's more frustrated by the level of City's performance than he is by officials?
Well, he has to be, and he'll probably, something. He's just a phenomenal player, Jeff. Absolutely fantastic player. And, there's no getting away from it. And he's not firing on all cylinders yet, coming back for, as you correctly say, a very, very serious injury. And he will get back to fitness. You see signs of it. He's still not there yet. So with that comes frustration, right? There's no getting away from it, because you want to be at the level that you know you can be. So you start looking at other things, and other things that generally wouldn't really get to you start annoying you. Wee things. Now, he might have a point with Solanke maybe touching Gahey at the back. But I've watched it. I reckon I've watched it, but no joke, Jeff. I've sat and watched that about 30 times this morning, right? Now, the goal itself, it does really well with Kusanov, shrugs him off, great physical strength. Now, he sticks his leg through Gahey's leg. He probably, you can't tell from the angle when you're looking at it. What you can tell is he does make contact with the ball, right?
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. You can also watch us on your smart TV, on the talkSPORT app, or on YouTube. We just checked in with Alex Crook. Nothing has happened in the last 15 minutes, nothing more to report, but he will pop in at 2 to reset the scene, which means we can continue going game by game through the Premier League weekend, and we alight upon Aston Villa 0, Brentford 1. I think a bit of a surprise result.
Although Keith Andrews got 3 wins over Villa, so maybe less of a surprise than you'd imagine.
Yeah, but against 10 men for a lot of the game at Villa Park, you would imagine they would have.
Statistically, if you go down to 10 men and it's 0-0, you very rarely get anything out of the game. But then they go and score, and then they hung on brilliantly. It was a great rearguard performance.
Very good performance by Brentford. Another team sort of pushing for Europe. Danny.
Well, and in this maddest of all seasons, who knows who's going to qualify for those European places? I mean, Villa, you could argue that they've been punching ever slightly above their weight, but this is where that comes home in the balance of things, because 27 shots without getting a goal to even take a point. And I suppose, Keith Andrews, that was a great Thomas Frank performance, and Brentford got their goal and then said, go on then, break us down. I mean, Villa, talk to me about this VAR decision, because we all think it should be abolished, VAR, and technically they got that right. The ball was, as far as I could see, out of play. But now they put themselves under pressure, Paul. They've got to get every one of these right, and they've got to go back as far as they need to go back to make sure the ball is in play all the time.
I mean, was it 19 seconds? I mean, it is the shape of things to come, because we are going to start seeing situations where they're going to see if a ball has crossed the line before every goal, as we know. So
but we saw in the World Cup, you see different angles. It's so
it did. To be fair,
unless all the lines are like the goal line,
it did look clear.
Then how can you tell?
It did look clearly out, didn't it?
No, I wasn't sure.
Just out thoughts and prayers with Matty Cash. Hope he's all right. He seemed to be able to soldier on throughout the game.
Another appalling bit of skullduggery.
Yeah, but if you're dumb enough to get sucked into that, then
don't
you can't
criticise Matty Cash, Paul. They don't like it, the Villa fans.
Okay, well, look, ES houses, we all know he does that. That's part of his armoury, but Sharda was an idiot, and even his own manager kind of said that, really. So, but a brilliant performance by them and a very good result.
A brilliant result, absolutely.
Let's move on to the game between Liverpool and Newcastle. I'm just saying to Andy there, it felt like a bit of a flattering scoreline when you just watched the highlights. I wasn't there.
There were two. Sorry, Paul. There were 2 4-goal whackings this weekend. One of them was a proper shellacking. You can still hear Leeds' backside being spanked from there. The other one, this was not a 4-goal or 4-1 match at all. Ekitike. Who knew if start of the season it wouldn't be Alexander Isak, but Ekitike that would be spearheading Liverpool so brilliantly. But Newcastle had plenty of good stuff in this game and were by no means 3 goals worse off. Although, again, it shows that a combination of the lack of Bruno Guimaraes just reduces their team, but also he's worrying Eddie Howe about this away form. So that forward line, I think, was yet another attempt to find the right formula. And although I thought they played pretty well, Newcastle, they'll be concerned that they just cannot find the key to their away form. But, Liverpool have got some good forwards, and Ekitike, I wasn't sure that they hadn't overpaid for him. I'm pretty sure they haven't now.
I don't know. When we played against Eintracht last year in Europe, in those 2 games, he scored a very good goal at Tottenham. But in the second leg, he was anonymous. And I remember coming away from that game thinking, he feels a bit overhyped. But having watched him in the Premier League for Liverpool, you can see there is a heck of...
You have to go back to the first performance, Paul. The way he glowed away from the... Glowed, is that even a word?
Yeah.
The way he glowed away from the Spurs defenders and then side-footed the ball from 22 yards out past the goalkeeper, you think, OK, that looks like a pretty difficult thing to defend to me.
Yeah. No,
it was odd, this, because I listened to the game on talkSPORT on my way back from Chelsea. I then came in and had dinner and watched Michael McIntyre. Completely forgot about the game. And then I watched it on Match of the Day, and I couldn't believe that Liverpool had turned it around the way they did, because Newcastle was so on top.
So that's 16 points dropped from winning positions for Newcastle. Again, they get their noses in front and kind of effectively started without strikers, didn't they, in this game? So... Yes.
Leaving Voltemada and Vissa on the bench, as I say, it looks like a stretch by the manager to try and find a formula.
Yeah.
But then you make a load of chances and don't have your most natural finishers on the pitch. just
But
the way
then
sometimes it falls.
Gordon did score, didn't he? So, I mean, I suppose he would argue that, his player got forward and got the goal.
Yeah, but
so.
you'd point at the scoreboard then.
Yeah, at the end of the game, yeah, you would.
Yeah.
Chelsea 3, West Ham 2. Again, an absolutely bonkers match where we talked about it earlier on, where Liam Rosenior made too many changes. But at least he dealt with it at half-time. Before half-time, he was telling them to warm up, wasn't he? 5 minutes before, he knew what he was going to do, and it had the effect.
I mean, look, first of all, congratulations to Thibaut for the lateness of that red card and the unnecessary nature of it. The game was gone for West Ham then. Look, they were still 2 up after 57 minutes. There's a weakness there, isn't there? And Chelsea do have enough players of a first-team standard to make big changes going into the game, as he did, Rosenior, but also when it mattered at half-time and beyond. I don't know what you thought about it, Andy, but West Ham wouldn't have been deserved winners, and I think it's another sign that Chelsea's side is maturing, actually, that they have the flexibility and the chutzpah to keep going and to turn that around.
Yeah, I just think this, big rotation is so wrong. I don't get it. Spell them. Give each player, this is what Pep does. You give him, Foden will sit out a game or two, or, like that. You can't just leave out 7 players and bring in 7 and think you're going to get some. And it was the whole of Chelsea's left side. Garnacho, he realised immediately he couldn't beat Wan-Bissaka, probably from training at United.
Well, he must have known that,
So he turned it in completely. His attitude when it's not going for him is pathetic. Heto is a good player, but completely raw. And Badashu, he might have just had a wardrobe on the pitch. So of course, they were just playing round our left side, and they did look really good.
I did thank Andy at full time, saying you may have just kept us up, Andy, with that victory. West Ham are still, they can take a lot from that. They were 2-0 up at Chelsea. They played well in the first half. I'll make Tom Rennie, West Ham fan and broadcaster, was saying he felt Kilman coming on was that sort of white flag, saying typical Nuno, hold on to what you've got, and then they end up losing it 3-2. So he wasn't massively.
I've read a lot of nonsense about Cole Palmer as well. People are being ridiculous. There was a piece in the Mail yesterday about he wasn't interested, he couldn't be bothered. I've never heard of such no player approaches a game like that anyway. And also, it's like he's not had any pre-season. He's been out for months, so he's playing. He's getting his form back. And you noticed it against Napoli, he was crucial in the goal, and in the winner, he was crucial in the winner as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't get it.
I still maintain West Ham can make up a fair bit of ground, Danny, because the performance generally, say, first half was good, wasn't it? And they should feed off of that. They're on 9 points off the other.
They'll get 1 or 2 more through Alex will be jumping into the studio very soon. West Ham will get 1 or 2 more through the door this after, in the 4 or 5 hours that remain in the transfer window. And then we'll see where they go from there. Yeah, they are the alligator lurking in the relegation weeds, aren't they? If you're hanging around the sort of lower third of the Premier League, thinking, but there's 3 teams who are, and West Ham are still odds on to go down. There are 3 teams who are odds on to go down. I suspect that they might be the one who might grab you by the ankle and drag you into the slime.
2-2 would have been a good score, and even at 2-2, Taliba should have scored.
That chance he put around the post, Anyway, the latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily podcast is out now. If you want more Premier League chat, it features Adi Oladipo and former Premier League manager Alan Pardew, looking back on a blockbuster weekend. So go and check it out. The talkSPORT Daily, available on all podcast platforms now. Still got 3 more games to squeeze in with Danny. Alex Crook will pop in very shortly to tell us where we're at on transfer deadline day. Just a reminder, this afternoon you can watch us on Connect TV and on YouTube and on the app, and we'll be right across the window for you. We're even going to get a manager's take in this hour. Matt Taylor, former Bristol Rovers manager, popping in to give us a feel for what it's like for the gaffers on deadline day.
people talking about you being champions. Some of it mischievously, from some people saying this would be the worst ever Arsenal team. You just go and win it. Doesn't matter what you look like.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter
at all. Just go and win it, Jim. And obviously that pressure. People try to create pressure, and when you don't get what you want, they look for all kind of weaknesses. And Arsenal just keep on. They're better than everybody else right now. That's all they need to be.
So it's just nonsense from Paul Scholes. If Arsenal win the title, if they win the league, this could be the worst team to win the league.
Look, I love Paul, but this is like one of his comments. Is like one of his tackles, isn't it? It's waist high, and it's just Paul he's still got it in his head. This Arsenal thing is starting to emerge. Maybe Man United are starting to emerge as well at the same time. Let's get it on. In the future, Man United maybe not ready to win it this year, but they shut Arsenal up the week before. So I think Arsenal just need to concentrate, play their games, not listen to the noise that's on the outside, Jim. Arsene Wenger said this to us many years ago. There's no meaning, or everyone telling us that we're favourites. Don't listen to it. Let's just go and do it. Go and do it. And that's what Arsenal did at the weekend. I think it was quite an emphatic result.
What's he up to, do you think, by saying that? This could be the worst team to win the league, says Paul Scholes.
Where did he say it? Did he say it on his little podcast?
He did indeed. He says, if you're thinking of picking a team of the season and picking a front four, nobody from the Arsenal team gets in that.
Do you know, no one's going to be listening to Paul Scholes, are they, on the Arsenal team? For God's sake, you just get on with your game, and you try and win. This will be the first, in 22 years, trophy that they can try to win. Jim, they're doing exceptionally well. Lots of twists and turns between now and the end of the season. What I will say is Paul's been in a lot of these races to the finish, and it's one of those that just one victory doesn't mean you're going to be champions. It's on to the next one.
Is there an
Arsenal need to do now, Jim? They can go 9 points clear next weekend.
Yeah.
And then Man City go to Anfield the next day. Make it 9 points. Make them look at 9 points. And overnight, see that. And it starts...
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Toby Gillis. Now, could a knee problem scupper Jean-Philippe Mateta's move from Crystal Palace to AC Milan? A doctor has come over to analyse it while Jurgen Strand-Larsen waits on it before finalising his switch from Wolves. But Palace are also looking for a defender, and talkSPORT's Alex Crook says a fellow London club might come to their rescue on that.
They're shopping around. We know they've had some bids rejected. Achiampong at Chelsea was one on their radar. That isn't going to happen. The latest name in the frame seems to be Ethan Pinnock at Brentford, who obviously is not part of the first team picture there.
That's a relatively quiet deadline day so far, at least in terms of potential mega deals. But football agent Phil Smith joined H&J earlier and said there has been one unusual feature of this window that we haven't seen much of before.
Here you've seen loans that were potentially going to be for the whole season being cut short, with players being sold, recalled and sold. But you've got players coming in 6 months into the season or halfway through that may not have ordinarily have featured till the end of the season.
Examples of that, Alex Zinchenko or Tammy Abraham. Now, talkSPORT understands Sheffield United are keen on a deal to bring Man City's Calvin Phillips in. Brian Gruder's gone on loan to RB Leipzig from Brighton. All the transfer deadline day deals and gossip are on talksport.com. Valerian Ismail's out at Blackburn, officially by mutual consent, but talkSPORT understands it's really a sacking. It's likely Slaven Bilic will replace him with Rovers in the drop zone in the Championship. And captain Maro Itoje, still grieving the death of his mother, has been named on the replacements bench for England's first Six Nations match on Saturday. Jamie George skippers the side against Wales. Wing Henry Arundel makes his first England start since the 2023 World Cup.
talkSPORT News.
A serial killer has admitted to a murder committed in 1999 for the first time, and all petrol stations in the UK are now required to report their prices to the government. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Drizzly for most today, heavier in the northeast, increasingly windy throughout the afternoon with heavier rain arriving this evening.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. It is, of course, transfer deadline day. We're right across all the breaking news just before we return to Danny Kelly and hoover up the remaining 3 games we haven't covered from the Premier League weekend. And we will be previewing Sunderland Burnley, which is live on talkSPORT 2 tonight from 7 o'clock. Alex Crook has popped in once again, and as Toby was just saying, it's a couple of interesting deals potentially. He mentioned Calvin Phillips. Onto that in a moment. But Malacia at Manchester United, we have a little bit of news there.
Yeah, he was part of that bomb squad last summer. I think partly due to the fact he was so close to Marcus Rashford. Ruben Amorim seemed to take offence to that, but obviously hasn't played a lot of football even since he's been recalled into the first team. Looked like he was off to Turkey to join Besiktas. In fact, I'm told he got as far as the airport, and then Manchester United, and more specifically Jason Wilcox, the director of football, pulled the plug on that deal. So at the moment, he isn't going anywhere. I think I'm right in saying he's out of contract in the summer, so it would have been a good opportunity for United to try and claw back some of his wages. The Turkish transfer window doesn't close today,
right?
So there is still a possibility this deal can get reignited. But as I say, at the moment...
Is it a loan, Cookie?
It would have been a loan, but really just taking over his contract, I think, until the end of the season. But obviously they've lost Patrick Dorgu due to injury. The squad isn't particularly deep. We're not expecting any senior arrivals at Manchester United today, so maybe the hierarchy there have just decided we can't afford to let anybody go.
And just a quick one on Calvin Phillips, who's, I'd forgotten, was still at City because he played 1 League Cup game, I think. But beyond that, Ipswich wasn't the greatest success for him. But Chris Wilder's interested in taking him at Sheffield United.
Well, Ipswich was marginally better than his loan spell at West Ham, but that isn't saying a lot. And like
He's still only 30, isn't he?
Yeah, you almost forget that he's still around at Manchester City because it's been a disastrous move, really. Sheffield United, as you say, in the Championship. Obviously, Chris Wilder believes that he can help get his career back on track, but I'd be interested to see the makeup of this deal because he's earning somewhere in the region of 200 grand a week at Manchester City. Obviously, too rich for any club in the Championship, let alone Sheffield United. So you thought if it's a loan deal, then City are going to have to pay a fair chunk of those wages. But he needs to go out and play, doesn't he? And you go back to the European Championships when England got to the final on home soil. He was a big part of that, wasn't he, Calvin Phillips? And his career's unravelled since then.
Thanks very much, Crookie. We'll hear from you later. All the breaking news that happens in the window. There's a couple of deals there that are bubbling along.
Sunderland are doing some business, I think, with Anderlecht.
Yeah, that's right. We'll find out more on that one. But let's return. Let's just hoover up those next 3 games. Danny Kelly's with us going game by game. Wolves 0, Bournemouth 2. Danny, we'll bring in you next. And
microcosm of Wolves' season, isn't it? They've created enough, but
had a disallowed goal early on. Seemed to create some chance. They're certainly better under Rob Edwards, but it's kind of too late, isn't it?
Well, it is too late, and they've admitted that. If you look at their transfer activity in the last even 24 hours, they're preparing for life in the Championship, and I think that's the right thing to do, given that Edwards has shown that he can get the players in an organised shape and do better than they were doing. So Bournemouth had more in the game because Wolves, I presume, know what they're doing now. They're preparing for something that's still a few months down the line. Interesting, the transfer fees and all the rest of it, because Krupi Jr., Eli Jr. Krupi, he's continued on his tear. And if you go back to his loan last season to Lorient in France, where he scored a goal a game, and I mean literally a goal a game, he's just on the most fantastic tear, and he has turned out to be a real bargain for them. On the other hand, am I losing touch with the modern game? The Strand Larsen fee to me looks bonkers.
Toppy, 48 million does feel that.
That's a good word for it.
They're paying. Last year he would have buried that one. He had a chance. He had.
He's a little shin around the post.
They're playing for last year's potential. Bournemouth's recruitment, though, blimey.
Well, even Rayan sets up a goal, doesn't he?
He looks strong. He looked powerful, didn't he?
Barely off the plane from Brazil. He's had about 2 training sessions, and but he's set up a goal.
And that's why, and he's right, the statistics database recruitment, which is now being accelerated by AI. Of course it is. This is more important at the moment, I think, really, than bringing through your young players and academies, from which a huge amount of money is being spent. I think the clubs may transfer some of that expense these days into the kind of global scouting. The Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth particularly, have absolutely majored in, and it's incredible to watch Krupi come back from France and say, right, cracks his knuckles, away I go. Then the other fellows, you rightly say, come straight out of the taxi from Heathrow, probably Gatwick actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
From Gatwick, and straight onto the pitch. Incredible.
Jimenez as well is having a very good season.
Absolutely. Something you said 2 weeks ago, I think is going to ring true, because Wolves, despite what's going on, are still competitive. They're not patsies, so they are going to have a say in what goes on, top and bottom, because they'll be competitive in all their games.
Sooner or later, somebody will stub their toe either at the bottom or right at the top of the table against Wolves. And it will be another feather in the cap of Edwards' cap, but also a sign that they haven't, unlike one or two teams in the past, just absolutely lay down. Having a lovely little rest in the Premier League.
Let's have a look at Leeds' nil Arsenal 4. And such is Arsenal's depth is that they can lose a player as important as Saka, and Madueke comes on, you don't really see the join.
That's amongst the best performances they've put in.
Yeah, I mean, why Leeds isn't easy, and they had the big 10 minutes you expect, and a great atmosphere, and then they sort of just swatted them aside.
Arsenal put them to sleep. They anaesthetised them, didn't they? Anaesthetised the crowd and the team.
Yeah.
And it was important because, people are starting to talk about a title race and all the rest of it. Let's leave aside the weakness, I think, that there is in Manchester City compared to their great teams. Arsenal here re-established what they're good at. They put a Leeds side who've been in good form, and, as you say, with one of the crowds that do influence the game, one shot on target. They were ruthless. They were. I don't want to use words like efficient, because it suggests I'm criticising the football, that they won the game easily. And what's more, the return of Kai Havertz is really important for them, because he adds to two things that they are using to kill teams. He adds even more height to that Land of the Giants 11, and because he's neither an attacking midfielder properly nor a centre forward properly, he adds to the bewildering array of movement that Arsenal use to break up the teams, even their deep block, their low block against Arsenal, because they come at you from all kinds of odd angles.
Yeah.
He adds to that as well. So that's another little brick in the wall that suggests to me that it won't be knocked down anytime soon.
Leeds are one of those teams who are going to have to be a little bit careful. As you could argue, Brighton, we're going to come on to that finally. The crowd's not particularly enamoured with what's going on with Herzl at the moment. He's under a fair bit of pressure.
They have thrown away so many leads.
I mean, they're 2 points ahead of Palace and Spurs on 29, and they are going to have to be careful, because, Everton did literally nothing in the first half, but were still able to stay in that game, and they missed good chances, Brighton, and then popped up with the equaliser.
Well, that's always the danger, isn't it? If you're as comfortable in the game as Brighton were, that such is the nature of professional football, particularly, as I say, with tiring defenders being confronted with rejuvenated forward lines against them because of the amount of substitutes that are being allowed. That can happen, but you're right, Paul. It's happening too much for Brighton. Their recruitment still seems good. I think Hustler still has, he looks like a good young manager. But in the end, in the Premier League, any weakness, any flaw in your makeup, your technical, physical reality will be exploited. At the moment, people are finding ways to exploit Brighton. So I don't expect they'll go down, but they are not in the kind of form they've been over the past, nearly 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
It was another game that took, half to take off, really. Everton, 0 XG in the first half.
Yeah, but still very effective in the second again, pushing for Europe. Danny, thank you. We will catch up. We enjoy the rest of deadline day. Let's hope it's a little present for us Spurs.
I shall putting on my yellow onesie and watching the rest of it on the telly. Yeah.
What a beautiful image.
Lovely.
Cheers, Danny. All the best. Danny, of course, is often alongside Andy Brassel on Trans Europe Express, and that's available as a podcast if you missed last night's show. But Andy's going to join us because there's some business going on around Europe, in and out of Europe. I see Ademola Lookman looks like he's off to Atletico. I'm surprised there weren't Premier League sides.
Yeah, he's a good player, and we'll hear a bit about Xhaka as well.
We'll find out more about Xhaka and why Liverpool, prepared to spend 60 million euros on him. Alex Crook will be popping in throughout the afternoon and keeping us updated. talkSPORT.com as well is where the window's unfolding all the latest news. And Matt Taylor, former Bristol Rovers manager, popping in to give us a manager's take on what deadline day is like in the hot seat. We're here, as always, with Toolstation. Gear up for those darker nights with electrical and lighting offers. Next stop, Toolstation.
There have been complaints around Solanke's first goal where the striker made contact with Gahey when scoring, but VAR cleared the goal after a lengthy check. So is it one thing for fans to be conspiracy theorists when it spreads to managers and players? Do we have a problem? Have a listen to Rodri post-match.
It's one game and another game and another game, and it's not possible. And honestly, I never speak about referees. I respect their job massively, but they have to pay attention to these things. He kicked the leg. It's so clear. It's so clear. He anticipated the leg of Mark, and it's a clear foul. So, but it's not today. It's just 2-3 games in a row, and I don't know why. Honestly, I know we won too much, and the people they don't want us to win. But the referee has to be neutral. And for me, honestly, it's not fair. It's not fair because we work so hard in these situations. Now to make these decisions, that you have to move on, of course, but you need to come back. By the end, when everything is finished, you are frustrated because it's so clear, the foul.
Now,
He should be fined for that. He should be fined for that. He should be pulled up by the FA because he's called the referee lacking neutrality. So he's questioning the referee's impartiality in the same way that his manager condescendingly said last week that the referee's made his name. A referee that the managers have regularly turned around and said, why do you have to go to the monitor and back down to VAR? So a referee goes to the monitor, doesn't back down to VAR, and he gets insulted by Pep Guardiola.
But you said that was Pep's fuel last week.
But don't make it right.
Is this Rodri's fuel?
Well, no, it's seeded in by the manager. So now
Rodri saying people don't want us to win, but the referee has to be neutral.
Nobody cares whether Man City wins or not. The only people that care that Man City wins or not are the team that's playing them on that weekend and their own fans. Nobody sits in studios caring whether Man City win or lose, and certainly not referees, I think. I think the bottom line is Guardiola has started this culture. He's got his hand up his captain's backside and throwing his voice through his mouth.
Well, this was, the thing was, this was the story last week, wasn't it?
Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. It's a slightly shorter drive for you this afternoon, right through until 6:30 with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. From 6:30, as the window closes at 7, you'll be joined by Mr. Deadline Day himself, Jim White. He's alongside Danny Murphy and Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent. He's going to be popping in with us later on and giving you a special show right through to 10, looking at all the business that's getting done. There's some interesting deals potentially taking shape in Europe. another suitor for in Italy for Jean-Philippe Mateta. So we'll be finding out more about that from Andy Brassel. But Andy joins us now to look at some of the big stories from around Europe this weekend. Good afternoon, Andy.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you. We're all slightly, in these World Cup years, slightly panicked by an injury to Jude Bellingham. Do we know how bad it is yet?
Yeah, it's like looking like a couple of weeks at the moment. It was just, I think, the tears when he was coming off. Frustration, muscle injury, bad atmosphere at the Bernabeu, all coming together. So we don't have an exact number on it, but he shouldn't be out for longer than a month, it seems.
That's good to hear.
I can't remember who wrote it, but it was a real criticism of Real Madrid and Barcelona, how they get these late goals that they basically play until they score.
Yeah, but I mean, the penalty that Real Madrid got was the clearest penalty you've ever seen, and the minutes that were added on, it wasn't excessively long. I suppose it's one of those things that we're kind of desensitized to in terms of the minutes, in that having 8 minutes on the end of a game or 10 minutes on the end of the game, as there were on this occasion, is something that we've got entirely used to. I remember the first time that I went to a game where, without someone being stretchered out of the ground, that there were 8 or 9 minutes on the end. It was in the Turkish Super League, and I just thought, God, I really hope this never happens in like Central European football, because like life is too short for this.
Yeah,
and it has since VAR. But look, the atmosphere around the Bernabeu and the fact that Kylian Mbappe got that 100th minute penalty to see them over the line against their neighbours at Rayo Vallecano, it didn't make an enormous amount of difference. Okay, at the top of the table, it meant they're still only a point behind Barcelona, which is enormously flattering to Real Madrid with the way they've played in recent months, not just since Alvaro Arbeloa has taken over. And the crowd are not having it. The crowd at the Bernabeu are really not having it. They showed their annoyance with the players once Xabi Alonso got the push. They've been showing their annoyance to Vinicius Junior for a number of months now. And they showed their annoyance to the players all over again. And it's a really, really difficult job for Arbeloa. And they made heavy weather beating a side that are completely out of nick at the moment.
Back to Andy in a moment, because Alex Crook has popped back in. Crookie, you have a little bit of potential transfer news.
Yeah, Crystal Palace certainly keeping us busy on this deadline day. Dwight McNeil at Everton, a possibility he's going to switch the Hill Dickinson Stadium for Selhurst Park. £20 million, I'm told, the fee being discussed. Palace hopeful they might be able to get that deal done between now and 7 o'clock. And on Calvin Phillips, we talked about him a few minutes ago. Looks like he will be joining Sheffield United from Manchester City on loan.
I wondered if, because he did all right under Sean Dyche at Everton, I wondered if Forest might have been interested in McNeil.
They've got that sort of player.
I guess they have.
And, Palace have been looking for wide players, haven't they? Because Ismail Assar has had a few injury issues, obviously, and with Jorgen Strand-Larsen coming in up front, he's just the type of player you would have thought would thrive off the type of service that Dwight McNeil can provide.
Brilliant. OK, well, we'll keep an eye on that. And we'll be joined by Jim Daly, the comedian and Palace fan. He's a season ticket holder with possibly, he thinks, the worst season ticket view in the world. He'll tell us about that.
He's got a point.
And he'll tell us also about the business Palace have done in this window. They have been, if that comes off, that will be pushing 100 million quid, although they did have money in the bank from Eze, etc., and etc. Yes, anyway, we move on. And Andy Brassell's with us. We're looking around Europe. We're going to be chatting to the man who supplies schnitzels for every goal that Harry Kane scores. He lives, his restaurant is very near Harry's house, and every time Harry scores, he drops another schnitzel to the house. We don't know if they're pre-cooked or not. That's one of the big burning questions for tomorrow's show. But did he score this weekend?
He did score, but it didn't make Bayern win.
Okay.
And by the time he got back from a very long trip back from Hamburg to Munich, I expect the schnitzel would have been cold and maybe off. But by that point, 22nd league goal of the season, as you say, for Harry Kane. But Hamburg came back, and talking of the Spurs connection, Luka Vuskovic, who could not be making himself any more of a hero there. He had a bad week last week because they had the derby at St. Pauli, and Vuskovic got some abuse about his brother, his older brother Mario, of course, who's still suspended for failing a drugs test, like nearly 4 years on. But Vuskovic Jr. just keeps coming back. Brilliant header to get them a 2-2 draw. And so Bayern have taken 1 point from their last 2 league games now. And Nico Schlotterbeck, the captain of Dortmund, after they won the late game against Heidenheim 3-2 to close the gap to 6 points, was saying, well, look, we're saying in the dressing room, we want this. We want to go for the championship. And I thought, have you really just seen the game you've played in?
Yeah.
They were awful, Dortmund, against the bottom team as well. They were lucky to get that win. And, Bayern having a blip is kind of been overdue. They've been relentless, really, for the first part of the season. Whereas Dortmund, the results on the whole have been good. They've only lost one league game, of course. But the content, not quite the same. It feels an enormous gap still. We talked about that gap of 1 point being flattering to Real Madrid against Barcelona. This gap of 6 points from Bayern to Dortmund.
Don't they have to play each other, though, before the end of the season? Do
they do at the end of February, and that is the one that Dortmand are targeting, really,
It's
Andy.
a bit like City Arsenal. If it's the same thing. If you can win that game, then it's only 3 points. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that is at Dortmund as well. That game at the end of February. So I guess the main thing for them is to make sure the gap doesn't get any bigger between now and then.
A couple of quick headlines from Italy and France. Inter still top. They won against Cremonese, but you said drama in the stands, Andy.
Yeah, so it was a 2-0 win for Inter. So they're still 5 points clear at the top, but Emile Aldero, the goalkeeper of Cremonese, of course, Jamie Vardy's team, got hit by a firework that was thrown from some Inter fans. And you could see a sort of cut and a graze on his leg. But this Inter fan was sort of singled out as a lone wolf by other Inter fans, and he would have been handed over to the authorities, except he ended up getting arrested because he was taken to hospital. Shortly afterwards, he tried to throw another firework and it blew 3 of his fingers off.
Oh, for goodness.
Wow.
That's a moron of the weekend, isn't it? That's ridiculous.
Dear me. Talk about learn the hard way. Roberto De Zerbi at Marseille.
Oh, you should just mention this boy Vergara.
Oh, yes.
That was a brilliant goal against Chelsea.
Yes.
And you said he scored again. He looks a prospect.
Antonio Vergara of Napoli. Just very quick one on him, Andy.
Yeah, so he scored again. They beat Fiorentina, which was a win that Napoli really needed. More injury bad luck for them with Giovanni Di Lorenzo going down with an ACL this weekend. If they could do anything in the transfer window, they would, but it's probably too late, to be honest. They're getting another forward in, Alisson.
And yet De Zerbi under real pressure at Marseille in France.
Yeah, big time. So obviously since their exit in the Champions League in the week, there's been a lot of discussion around him. I mean, what they did is when they left Belgium, they flew straight to Paris for their game against Paris FC at the weekend, specifically for a training camp, but really to avoid the anger of the Marseille fans, I think. That was a huge part of it. And so they should have had this calmer build-up. They go 2-0 up. Away at Paris FC, and Paris FC come back and make it 2-2 with Ilian Cabal, one of the low-key stars of Ligue 1 this season, scoring the equaliser. Of course, he is from Marseille, that is a given. And lots of questions over Roberto De Zerbi at the moment. Scraps on the training pitch. They're having a very, very busy transfer deadline day. Of course, they're getting rid of a few. Matt O'Reilly's been sent back to Brighton, for example, to create space for new players. So it's all a bit of a mess there.
And he's been linked to Fiorentina. He's sitting there. Maybe Fabio Paratici wants to bring him in on his first day. So is that
that kind of feels like more his level, if we're being honest, because like the links to Manchester United, there's no sense really that he can take a team over the top to win trophies. There's a lot of good things to say about De Zerbi as a coach, but in terms of finding that next level, in terms of making a team win trophies or making them successful in the Champions League, there's still a huge question mark, I think, and recent months of Marseille have proved that.
We're going to look at some of the transfer stories of the day. There is another Serie A suitor for Jean-Philippe Mateta beyond AC Milan. We'll tell you more about that. Ademola Lookman looks like he's on the move, heading to Spain. Andy Brassel is with us. Alex Crook will be popping in with any breaking news. And Matt Taylor, the former manager of Bristol Rovers and Exeter, joining us for a chat to give us a manager's take on what it's like on deadline day. That's all to come. Don't forget you can watch us on YouTube, on Connect TV, on Smart TV, and on the talkSPORT app.
Morning, Gabby.
Good morning, lads. How are we?
We're doing well, mate. Gabby. Don't you go throwing the towel in on me now. Come on.
Hey, Gabby, look, I've got a message for you from Courtney, who says, when Gabby comes on, make sure you tell him Villa are bottle jobs. He would be calling other teams bottle jobs for losing at home in a so-called title race. Villa will be looking to get top 5 as United, Liverpool and Chelsea will catch them. Come on, Gabby, put Courtney in her place. I assume it's a her, might be a his. I apologise if I've got the sex wrong.
No, listen, yesterday was disappointing. Everton at home, disappointing to lose those 2 games. You'd think Aston Villa would win those games, but who thought Aston Villa would go to Newcastle last weekend and win? Nobody. So it's sort of like we don't really know what's going to happen in the last games of the season. But yesterday I thought they'd done everything they could. I was at the game, pressurised Brentford's back 5 when Collins come on. Sancho had a better game when he went over to the left-hand side. Tammy Abraham was sharp. But it's one of those games, Ali and Jeff, where it could have been 90 more minutes and Villa wouldn't have scored.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't know what sex Courtney was. Courtney's just texted back in, sorry, Courtney. I really mean that, because Courtney said, I'm a 6'4" man.
Hey, Courtney, counts for nothing nowadays, mate. I've got news for you. we need a picture, we need evidence, mate, but we'll take your word for it. Gabby, I was going to say to you, mate, disappointing. 3 points dropped, but it should only have been 2, shouldn't it? That goal.
Oh, don't get me started, Ali. Honestly, Ali, I've never heard Villa Park so angry. Listen, was the ball 100% out? No one will ever know. But look how far away from Brentford's goal the ball went out. There's so much Villa have to do to score from.
The young French centre-half Jeremy Jacquet is having his Liverpool medical today. They've beaten Chelsea to Jacquet's signature by allowing him to stay at Rennes till the summer. Liverpool will pay £55 million initially, with £5 million in add-ons. Meanwhile, former Palace chairman Simon Jordan has given his verdict on their deal with Wolves for Jørgen Strand-Larsen.
I don't think he's a good player. No, I mean, but ultimately, if Crystal Palace do, then that's the £48 million that they've spent. I would imagine the Mateta deal will go through.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine them spending money that they haven't already recouped.
Elsewhere on deadline day, talkSPORT understands Fulham have rejected Everton's offer for Harry Wilson. Meanwhile, we're hearing the Cottagers' move for PSV striker Ricardo Pepi could still be on. All the latest deals, as always, at talksport.com. Now, Martin Keown has shared his reaction to Paul Scholes saying Arsenal would be the worst team ever to win the title.
Look, I love Paul, but, you know, this is like one of his comments, is like one of his tackles, isn't it? It's waist high.
And England's former white ball captain Josh Butler is backing his predecessor Harry Brook to keep that job.
He's a very natural leader. He's incredibly calm, tactically reads the game brilliantly, leads with the bat. Like the way he plays is fantastic. And I think he's got an incredible mindset. He doesn't seem fazed by much.
Well, Brook says he lied about that New Zealand nightclub incident ahead of the Ashes to protect his teammates.
Hawksbee Jacobs here on talkSPORT. A little bit later on, we're going to find out more about James Wilson, the 18-year-old striker, who Arsenal are showing, apparently Tottenham are showing an interest in him as well. They would like him in now, it seems, so he wouldn't go back on loan to Hearts, but Mark Donaldson's going to join us from ESPN, who's a big Hearts fan, can tell us why Arsenal are so keen to land an 18-year-old in January.
And also, though, from Hearts' point of view, why would you want to sell good players now? You've just got yourself into the best position you've ever got into for years. So.
It's difficult, like you say, it's difficult when a club like Arsenal come calling. But anyway, we'll find out more about the player for you, Arsenal fans. It looks like you're in the box seat from Mark later on. But we're looking at European transfers. Andy Brassel stayed with us. And it seems this Jean-Philippe Mateta deal was, if not stalled indefinitely, but there is a bit of an issue around a medical. And it smoked out Juve as well as Milan, we understand, Andy.
Well, Juve were interested in the first place, and they basically got taken out of the race by the fact that they wanted to go for loan first and then permanent deal later, which Palace understandably were not particularly enamoured with as a prospect. If there are questions over his medical, of course, they might not have an option. So Juventus, I guess, have seen this opportunity and come back in, and they're proposing a different sort of deal to the permanent one that Milan would be offering. I mean, Milan had a lucky escape in the summer, really, in terms of medicals. They're quite close to signing Victor Boniface, the Nigerian striker from Leverkusen. He came over, they had a look at his knee, they didn't like the medical, they discussed it for a couple of days, which obviously isn't an option in this occasion because time is pressing. And in the end, they said no. Boniface went to Werder Bremen, was only able to start twice, and has now had a knee operation, which the word is it's to save his top-level career, basically. So, you know, I think that is a little bit playing on their minds, perhaps, and they want to be super careful. Of course, the fact is that they'll probably have to try and shift another striker before deadline to create a bit of space. And Kunku has already said, "I'm not going anywhere." So that leaves them trying to shift Santi Jimenez, who they bought last January from Feyenoord, who doesn't really want to go either. But Milan, there is a feeling that they need another forward. That if they had that forward, then they would be genuine title contenders.
Where do you see the best fit for him out of those two, looking at the setup of both clubs?
Well, I think it has to be Milan at the moment because they have an obvious gap for a number 9. Now, they brought in Niklas Füllkrug, who's done pretty well so far, it has to be said, but you know, he's got the fitness record that he's got, and there's no getting away from that. But the thing is with Juventus, they went out last summer and they spent a lot on forwards. You know, they brought in Jonathan David. Of course, people will say he's a free transfer. No such thing as a free transfer in football, as we know. Onerous wages. They got Lois Openda as well. Dusan Vlahovic, who's going to leave in the summer. He's out injured at the moment, has been out for a while, so that affects their ability to buy someone permanently. But really, they've improved a lot under Luciano Spalletti. And you feel they would be better, I think, just working with the resources that they've got, which are plentiful.
Ademola Lookman, maybe surprised a few Premier League clubs have not tried to land him, but it looks like he's off to Atletico Madrid.
He is. He's got his big move at last, and you know, honestly, delighted for him because he's wanted this for a long time. This step up to elite level. Now he could have gone to Fenerbahce for more money, for bigger wages, but when Atletico offered and there was a little stall in the deal between Atalanta and Fenerbahce, Lookman didn't hesitate, and you know, he could have hung out and got more money. He could have gone to Saudi. He could have gone to the Turkish Super League, but he's chosen to go to a club where he feels he's going to play for important trophies in Europe. And I think you have to respect that at the age he is, that it's not all about the money, that he wants to get out there and prove himself. And Atletico,
he will be on some money though, won't he?
I don't believe he's playing for free, Andy. We can confirm.
Let's talk a bit about Jeremy Jacquet.
Yeah, let's find out a bit more about him, because Liverpool have got their man, but not until the summer. So that obviously works out well from his point of view. So tell us a bit about him. What are they getting?
They're getting a player who already after 30-odd Ligue 1 games looks the part. He looks really, really good. And, you know, this is exactly the sweet spot for where Premier League clubs want to spend their money at the moment. Someone who looks like they could contribute immediately but has a huge future ahead of them and can progress even further. You know, we saw with the John Duran transfer, didn't we, that really elite clubs out there and rich clubs out there would rather be paying, you know, even Saudi clubs now would rather be paying for, rather than established superstars, younger guys who they think can become the next established superstars and retain some sort of value. Now, of course, in the Premier League, PSR has made part of this. But like, I really like what I've seen of Jacquet. You know, he's big, he's strong, he's powerful. very, very composed on the ball. And Habib Bey, the Rennes coach, really didn't want to lose him going into this window. So he'll be happy. It feels like a sort of deal between Bey and the club as much as it does between Liverpool and Jacquet and Liverpool and Rennes. But I think, you know, you can't really be sitting here after 31st team games going, I know this guy, he's a thoroughbred, he's going all the way to the top. You can't know really at that point. But this is exactly where Premier League clubs and lots of Europe's best and Saudi's biggest clubs would like to spend their money.
What about Sarr then, who's coming from Strasbourg and Anselmino off to them? How's he done? I mean, obviously he won the African Cup of Nations with Senegal. Is he any good?
Yeah, he's done well so far. And I think it's a logical step, really, that Rosigne wants to bring him back into his project, if you like. I mean, the one that I'm surprised hasn't moved this month, at least as far as stands, is Valentin Barco, because he was someone who Rosigne changed position. He made him into a sort of inside left midfielder from a left back, where he's been really influential, someone who he feels can run things on the pitch. But he has got Andre Santos, who all of a sudden has rocketed up the level of importance at Chelsea just because Rosigne really rated him. He talked wistfully about him when he was at Strasbourg earlier in the season, going, if we still had Andre Santos, it would make a massive difference. You know, he's not a replaceable guy. So it feels as if a few key players are coming over, and that's going to make a difference to Rosigne. Because having spoken to a few Chelsea players, I spoke to João Pedro about it a couple of weeks back, and at NBA London, and also Malo Gusto, and they both said the difference between Rosigne and Maresca is massive. So to have some players who can help translate what Rosigne's trying to do, I think is really, really important for them to be able to do that. As far as Anselmino goes, he was really rated at Borussia Dortmund. They were sorry to see him go. He was sorry to go. Of course, he was held up a little bit by injuries. But again, that combination of strength and composure, he'll do very, very well for Strasbourg, and I think he'll do great for Chelsea next season.
Andy, there's been a development on the story we were just discussing on Jean-Philippe Mateta, and Alex Crook has rejoined us. Crookie, what's going on?
Well, this has been the saga of the last 24 hours. Will Jean-Philippe Mateta get his move away from Crystal Palace? Will he go to AC Milan? We reported last night on talkSPORT that Milan had some concerns about a potential knee issue that was flagged up in a medical. We knew they were flying their own doctor over to London to undergo further medical examinations. Now, I should stress at the moment, this is just sources in Italy, but they are telling us AC Milan have decided not to continue their pursuit of Jean-Philippe Mateta. There was talk that Juventus could possibly come to the party. I'm trying to get this stood up at the Crystal Palace end, and also trying to establish what it means for Jurgen Strand-Larsen. We know that Palace have agreed a club record fee of £43 million plus £5 million in add-ons. So the fact that Mateta might not get that move to Milan, does that put Strand-Larsen's move to Selhurst Park in jeopardy? These are all questions I'm awaiting answers on. But as I say, according to sources in Italy, Jean-Philippe Mateta will not be joining AC Milan.
Wow, interesting. Andy, as you were saying, maybe they're hypersensitive of what happened with Victor Boniface. Maybe Juve won't be quite as...
I mean, he has played all season.
Yeah,
he must be fair.
Maybe Juve won't be quite as fussy, Andy.
Just before Andy comes back in, confirmation that Strand-Larsen has passed his medical at Palace. So that deal
he's ready to go. Okay, fair enough.
And you'd think, really, wouldn't you, that with Strand-Larsen, Palace probably will go ahead on that, because if Mateta doesn't go now, he'll go in the summer, and at some point they're going to have to replace him. That's before we get to the fractured relationship between Mateta and the fans. But yeah, I think you're right, Paul. I think the as we said before, the Boniface deal and what happened there, and the fact that they dodged a bullet there is playing on their minds a little bit. They've had fitness problems with other strikers, of course. Nkunku arrived there, and they invested a lot of money in Nkunku by modern Italian standards, €38 million up front. We talked about Füllkrug as well. Santi Jimenez has been in and out of fitness. They can't be just taking a punt and hoping for the best. They can't do that. And of course, we know that medicals and medical demands are far more stringent in Italy than in other countries as well. So that has an influence too.
Milan have signed a Chelsea youngster. I must say, I've never seen him play.
We're going to have to be quick on this
Idrissi. I don't know if you know anything about him, but there we go.
No, me neither.
No, okay. Cheers, Andy. We'll catch up with you soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Andy Brassel there, back to Trans Europe Express with Danny Kelly on Sunday. Thank you, Crookie. Any more breaking news? I see you looking at your phone.
Just had a note to say that Axel Disasi has given his approval to that move from Chelsea to West Ham. We know he's booked in for a medical today. I think there was a suspicion he was waiting to see if anybody else came in at the 11th hour, but it does look like Disasi to West Ham.
They've done some good business, West Ham.
And Todibo out for 3 games, so,
What a ridiculous, brainless red card that was.
Yeah, but, still, they've got someone to cover.
Hear from you later.
Absolutely.
And we'll find out more about James Wilson as well from Mark Donaldson, now our friend who's a big Hearts fan, ESPN broadcaster. But before that, what's it like for a gaffer on deadline day? Matt Taylor, formerly of Bristol Rovers and Exeter, is going to tell us. He's popping into the studio. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Get winter ready with heating and insulation essentials. Next stop, Tool Station.
Simon, stick to football, or if you've got an opinion about a matter outside of football, then say it.
Listen, I think there's a balancing act. I mean, I think depends if you're if you're representing yourself as a football player rather than just an individual. If you're a leading manager and you want to talk about the independence of Catalonia in example terms with Pep Guardiola, and you do it at a Manchester City function, I don't think you should be doing that, because you're there representing Manchester City. The challenge is that you will always, in people's eyes, be representing Manchester City. But by the same token, Pep Guardiola is a citizen of the world. He has an opinion about something, and he can utilise his opinion. So I have a mixed emotions about it. I don't really want them wading into subject matter, because most of the time they don't know what they're bleeding talking about, and they don't really have the courage of their convictions to stand up behind their own words.
But he's not wrong, is he? I mean, we've seen and heard of some of the prices at the World Cup for tickets in the summer, and they're exorbitant, to say the least.
Again, but I would ask the question, where does the money go? Right? Because I realise who his father is, and his father was the president of Liberia, so he probably thinks he's got a soapbox to stand upon, right? So I understand that he comes from that particular background, and I'm not suggesting that footballers aren't entitled to an opinion. If it were domestic opinion, I'd say shut your mouth, because you're the ones taking all the money out of the room in the first place. In this instance, I would suggest that the beneficiaries of the ticket pricing are FIFA, which is a not-for-profit organisation, and we know that they're not transparent, we know that they're opaque, but isn't the distribution of this money supposed to be going to grassroots football around the world?
Well, won't the FIFA delegates be going to the games in their limousines and sitting in the plus seats that they won't have had to pay for?
But there's always an element that's like saying, but that's like saying, I understand your point, and I don't disagree with it. It's like saying all the commercial sponsors that go and leave empty seats, but there's still their commercial dollars go into the business of sport.
I know, but Simon, how could we possibly object to Timothy Weah saying, I'm just a bit disappointed.
Just before we have a chat with Matt Taylor from Bristol Rovers, Exeter manager, Alex Cook has popped back in. Palace brought you a bit of news.
Yeah, we always get a bit of deadline day drama, don't we? Jean-Philippe Mateta, we know, started his medical with Milan yesterday. They flagged up a potential issue with regard to a knee injury, sent their doctor over to conduct further examinations. They've now decided not to press ahead with that £26 million deal for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Palace sources confirming that deal is dead. But I am told there are other clubs at the table with regard to a potential loan deal now for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Juventus in Serie A, one of those. So he could still be leaving Palace tonight, but it doesn't look like it'll be a permanent deal, and it doesn't look like it will be. Well, it definitely won't be to AC Milan.
Surprising that no Premier League club has come in for him. He's a good player, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if there could be Premier League clubs in the mix. We'll leave that with you.
I'm told other clubs, so that suggests there's more than one party still at the table.
Excellent. Thank you, Cookie. Thanks very much. As we said, Matt Taylor's joined us, full Bristol Rovers manager. Hi, Matt. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
How do you view deadline day from a manager's point of view and a player and a manager's point of view? What was it? Did you ever go on deadline day?
No, I was never in that position to go on deadline day, unfortunately. But it's one with trepidation, excitement. It depends what situation you're in.
It depends where you kind of are in the food chain, really.
Exactly that. Depends what club you're at. If you're at a selling club, like I was when we were at Exeter City, it's needs must in terms of selling your players and sometimes your best young players. So you don't want it to happen, but you understand it a little bit more. Whereas if you're at other clubs with a bit more stability, you want to have the best possible squad going into the final parts of the season.
Yeah. It's those days when you're sort of on tenterhooks and someone like Exeter where you've got good young players that you don't want to lose and then the sharks are circling. It must be quite difficult. Have you found yourself in a situation trying to talk a player maybe into staying with you?
It depends on the contract length. If you've got a fair few years left on the contract, you try and keep them to the end of the season. It depends on the market. When you're a selling club, you just spoke about it, and there's more clubs interested in Mateta. You want more clubs interested in your players because then you can up the price. Sounds a bit cynical to say, but certainly when you're at a club like Exeter City, that's exactly what you need to do. But there are times when, as a manager, and sometimes you've got to be selfish as a manager, you want to keep your best players, and you know the hole that will leave when you unfortunately sell or one of your better players leaves. If you understand the bigger picture, like we spoke about it, then you can swallow that pill a little bit more, but sometimes it really hurts you.
How much were you consulted about purchases? I mean, did you ever get a situation where a player comes in and you think, I don't fancy him at all?
Yeah, it's similar. It depends on the club. Exeter City, there was a simplicity to it because it's a trust-owned club. You're given your budget, spend it how you see fit. So myself and the head of recruitment worked well in that partnership. Whereas at Rotherham and Bristol Rovers, then it's a game of opinions, timing, what suits other people as much as the manager. And so you're consulted 99% of the time, but sometimes there are occasions when you're not consulted and things do happen behind your back.
Yeah. So you've been out for a while now, but congratulations, you've had another child, haven't you? Yep. So you decided consciously not to get back in so you could be around for the birth of your child and those early months? Yeah,
we welcomed Connor in August. All fit and well, so you want to be there for your wife first and foremost, especially because she's moved around the country an awful lot in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, and then just sort of building our, we moved back to Sheffield after Bristol, building our life there. My youngest son started school there, so just being there for those, and also being present. It's all well and good being around them, but actually being there when my mind's not elsewhere in terms of management. But then certainly the last few months, it's ramped up in terms of conversations, the interview here and there, and a little bit of understanding of what I'm going into next.
And it has to be a balancing act. You want to get back in because you love football and that's what you do. But you have to have good owners. You have to have good players. It has to be right, I guess, doesn't it?
It does. But the longer you're out, the more realistic you've got to be. I don't think there's a perfect club anymore in terms of from a manager's point of view.
Sure.
There's always going to be certain aspects of the club where not a battle, but you're going to have to understand it and work your way towards what you need out of that situation. But realistically, we've spoke previously. If you've got the right players and good players, you've got a better chance of staying in the job for longer. So the recruitment aspect's so important. The plan of the club and the identity of the club as well. Even in lower leagues, similar to at the top levels now, you're seeing more and more clubs coming away from their identity of the town or the community of the area. It's such a shame. So knowing what the fan base wants, knowing what the ownership model is, but then obviously getting all important right on the pitch.
Yeah.
Winning. That's what they
winning.
want.
That's what they want.
They
always.
You win games.
And then when they win games, then they want it done in style.
Yeah.
You can't win, really.
Were you disappointed with the way it ended at Bristol Rovers?
I was a difficult year. I was tasked with a change of culture when I first went in, which we tried to do the remainder of that first season. And second season was a real change of direction in terms of the remit from the board to sign players of a certain calibre from the lower leagues, from League Two, from National League, young players who would become assets for the club. I don't think anyone quite expected how strong League One was going to be last season, and it was just too strong for the group, and we weren't able to get a team functioning often enough. We showed signs, and we were probably mid-table in around the time I was sort of lost my job, and there's always regrets in there, because Bristol Rovers, if you get it right, is a great club.
Yeah, that's right. There is expectation. It's a great old name, and there is high expectations there, aren't there?
Yeah, there's expectation anywhere.
Yeah.
Bristol Rovers, Rotherham, XSC. The pressure is still the same. There's no bigger pressure than what you put on yourself, but certainly you feel one day Bristol Rovers will get on par back with Bristol City. I think the city needs that. The club and the supporters certainly deserve that, and I hope they do it sooner rather than later.
In your downtime, what sort of things do you get up to? I mean, I suppose you are watching football, you're watching players, so if you are called upon to go in and talk to a chairman, you're up to speed, aren't you? And
yeah, exactly that. It's going to sound cynical, but everyone understands it in the game, where you're probably watching the 6-7 teams in the league who are underperforming. And watching them in detail, where if the manager...
Like a vulture. That's the nature of the beast, though.
If the ownership make that decision and the manager loses his job, you've not got any time to prepare for an interview. Sometimes it can even happen before the manager loses a job. That's the way the football world works. You've got to be ready for and prepared for whatever club comes calling. And then hopefully, if you impress in that interview, you get the opportunity to take the management of that football club. So you're probably watching 6 or 7 teams from each league. Like myself at the moment, it's probably League One and League Two, and getting a real feel for the patterns of players, the expectations, and similar to what we're talking about now, who's going to come and go in this by the end of today.
Yeah, wow. I mean, are you a fan of the window? Would you quite happily scrap it?
I'm a fan of it in terms of certain aspects, because you can control when your team gets stronger or weaker with the 2 windows. January is notoriously difficult, and financially it's incredible, because a player which would go at the end of the season for X amount would go for double, if not triple that in January, because there's a desperation there. If you're centre forward, then your value in January is absolutely quadruple compared to the rest of the time, because everyone needs goals in the team.
Sure.
But like I say, I am a fan of it because I understand how the football system works. But as a manager, I've probably been on both sides of the fence. We've got some great deals done on deadline day, but unfortunately, there are times you lose your best players.
When it was the old March deadline, though, that you'd have that whole season where your players would be disrupted, tapped up, undermined. From that point of view, this is better, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And there'll be a lot of conversations going on in the offices across the country with managers and players will be disappointed, or something's not quite happened, which was expected in terms of materialisation of a move in the last minute. Might have fallen through for a medical reason or disagreement between the clubs or ownership. There'll be a lot of conversations tomorrow where, look, you're here now, you're here till the end of the season, now I need you to give absolutely everything for the cause, and then at the end of the season we'll almost readdress it. Those are the hardest conversations to have, because there's times when a player's known he's been available for a period of time, and all of a sudden you've got to integrate him back into the building and get him back ready for selection and get them motivated as well.
Well, I wonder if Oliver Glasner's thinking that at the moment. So good stuff. Well, Matt, thanks for popping in. We wish you well getting back in soon. We'll be looking out for you.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Matt Taylor there, the former Bristol Rovers, Rotherham and Exeter City manager. So still to come, Alex Crook, of course, will be, as he's been proving, popping in and out throughout the afternoon. We'll have a bet build on tonight's game with our good friends at Paddy Power. We'll look ahead to Sunderland Burnley. Gabe Turner, the Sunderland Till I Die producer and huge Sunderland fan, is going to join us to preview it tonight. Give us a bit of a state of play ahead of that Burnley game, which is live on talkSPORT, with a talkSPORT 2, shall I say, with a build-up from 7. And Jim Daly is a Palace fan and comedian. He's going to weigh in on what's going on with Mateta and some of the other business that Palace have done. He's going to tell us why he thinks he's got the worst season ticket in the world. And we'll find out more about James Wilson, the 18-year-old at Hearts who could be off to Arsenal. Mark Donaldson from ESPN, big Hearts fan, will fill us in on that one. That's all to come.
I'm doing this gig up a ski slope, end of season in Austria, and I'm with my dad, and we're travelling down to the gondola. It's a big gig, but we'll get up there in a gondola, and my security goes, Maradona's here, and he wants to say hello to you. I'm like, Maradona in Austria? I'm like, yeah, get out of the car, and there's Maradona. And like, I don't speak Spanish. And, but we're very happy to see each other, and we have our pictures taken together, and we go up in the gondola, and my dad's like, what's your life like, son? I go, it's amazing, isn't it? People like Maradona want to come and see me, And then 2 days later, I'm looking at the news on the Mac, and Maradona is at the Chelsea game. And that Maradona hasn't got a beard at the Chelsea game. That wasn't Maradona that I met.
No, it was.
It was an imposter.
What, claiming to be Maradona?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. You ever been scammed like that?
Not like that. Maradona, come
Didn't you scammed someone, though, didn't you?
What was that? What
it was
scammed a lot of people, mate. Which one?
You scammed someone to get in a club, didn't you? Saying that we thought you was a monster.
Oh, no, that was the guy that was the lead singer. Oh, my God, you've thrown me now. His name... What was the band? Oh, my God. Brother Beyond. And his name was... Can't remember it.
No.
But anyway, I got in there, and then I'm in the club, and he thinks I'm the lead singer. Nathan Moore, right? Nathan Moore. And he thinks I'm the lead singer from Brother Beyond.
Yeah.
And they had a song, The Harder You Try. We'll play it in a second, right? And Nathan Moore, at that stage, was one of that Brother Beyond. Everyone like, oh, Brother Beyond, Brother Beyond. And then I go in there, and I was only about 18, 19.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Toby Gillis. Crystal Palace continue to be the main Premier League players on deadline day, but Jean-Philippe Mateta's move to Milan is off over concerns about a knee issue discovered in the initial part of his medical. What's not clear is whether that prevents Jurgen Strand Larsen's move from Wolves or not. It could be that other clubs rescue Mateta and a loan could still happen. Juventus a possible option. And Palace also want a centre-half with Ethan Pinnock offered by Brentford. A winger might be on their minds too. So says talkSPORT's football correspondent Alex Crook.
Dwight McNeil at Everton, a possibility he's going to switch the Hill Dickinson Stadium for Selhurst Park. £20 million, I'm told, the fee being discussed. Palace hopeful they might be able to get that deal done between now and 7 o'clock.
Calvin Phillips might actually play some football before the summer. A loan has been agreed between Manchester City and Sheffield United, which will take him to the Championship for a few months. Could Arsenal be without Bukayo Saka for the League Cup semi-final second leg with Chelsea tomorrow? He pulled up with an injury before the win over Leeds at the weekend. Here's Mikel Arteta.
Today he was better, but we have to wait and see how he responds and then make the decision. It doesn't look like something too serious. Whether he's going to be available for tomorrow or the weekend, we will see.
Arteta's also admitted that they are actively looking at options after Mikel Merino's injury. Not long to do it, have they? Less than 4 hours. Arsenal 3-2 up. Remember, you can hear the second leg of the League Cup semi-final live on talkSPORT tomorrow. And remember, we've Premier League action tonight too. Sunderland Burnley is live and exclusive on talkSPORT too. Morning, Mauro Itoje has been placed on the bench for England's first Six Nations match on Saturday. His mother died recently and the captain returning to the 15 for the first time since the World Cup in 2023.
talkSPORT News.
A serial killer has admitted to a murder committed in 1999 for the first time, and all petrol stations in the UK are now required to report their prices to government. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Rain or shine, our mobile tyre fitting service comes to you so you can stay on the sofa this winter. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Drizzly for most today, heavier in the northeast, increasingly windy throughout the afternoon with heavier rain arriving this evening.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. It is, of course, transfer deadline day. We've got less than 4 hours now till the window closes.
We should have done the show from Selhurst Park, really.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's where it's all been happening. Alex Crook has popped back in. What's the latest, Crookie?
Do you know what? It just dawned on me. For the second deadline day in a row, Crystal Palace is the only story in town, because in the summer, it was all about Mark Gahey.
Yeah.
And obviously his move to Liverpool collapsed in the final hours of the window. Jean-Philippe Mateta, as we've been reporting for the last 20 minutes or so, is now not off to AC Milan. The Italians have pulled out of that potential £26 million move. Juventus, amongst the clubs potentially interested in signing Mateta now on loan. What does that mean for Jurgen Strand-Larsen? We know that Palace yesterday agreed a club record deal, £43 million, rising to £48 million with add-ons. Looks like that move will still go ahead. I'm being told by Crystal Palace sources the fact Mateta and Milan is off is not necessarily going to have an implication in terms of Strand-Larsen, which I think is good news for him and good news for Wolves as well. Wolves are going to sign Adam Armstrong from Southampton as the final part of that domino, if you like, the final piece in the jigsaw for £9 million. And one for you, Mamadou Sarr. That recall from Strasbourg has just been confirmed. He's back at Chelsea now for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Oliver Glasner obviously feels he can get a tune out of Strand-Larsen. He said to Steve Parish, look, trust me, I think this is exactly what we need. Because, as we said, all of us feeling that deal is a bit toppy based on what we've seen. Although he was good last season, we haven't seen that this season.
It's an interesting one.
It's hard to judge.
Is it Oliver Glasner who's picked Strand-Larsen, bearing in mind he's not going to be there beyond the end of the season? Matt Hobbs is the sporting director. He was instrumental in signing Strand-Larsen for Wolves. So I think that's probably more where the connection is.
It's good. We met him at Cheltenham. He's clever.
Yes, he is. It's a very interesting guy.
It's an interesting window for Palace, because how much say do you really want to give Oliver Glasner in these transfers, knowing that he's not going to be there beyond the end of the season?
No, none. Arteta, though, saying that they are looking to replace Mourinho. We did talk earlier, didn't we, that they didn't need to do that. Maybe they wouldn't, but it looks like they might.
Not much time left to do it.
I was told yesterday when I found out about the injury to Mourinho that they were scouring the market. Arsenal, obviously, there was that link that we've already talked about with Tonali that proved to be a bit of a red herring. There's no recall clause in Ethan Nwaneri's loan move to Marseille. You wonder now why they didn't just keep their powder dry on that one until the end of the window, because he would have got game time.
Not like for like. There's ones that
no, he's not.
Their ones are more difficult.
I mean, they have got previous for doing very late deals out of left field, haven't they?
Raheem Sterling came, didn't he, right at the end of a deadline day. So never say never when it comes to Arsenal. How long have we got to go now until the window closes? Less than 4 hours, but I still think we're going to get a few twists and turns.
Going back to a bit of an extra hour, don't you?
Coming back to Andre Arshavin, they were signing players about a week after the window closed. So now Phil Smith, I think our old mate was involved in that one, wasn't he? Anyway, thank you, Crookie. We'll catch up with you later.
See you soon.
It is time now for our bet builder with Paddy Power.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
We're on fire. We had another win on.
We did. Our bet builder last Friday came off. We're delighted to say it wasn't with Fern. Maybe Fern is the Jonah.
Jonah.
Fern Buckley is back, so it means we're not going to win. Of course not. Sunderland playing Burnley at the Stadium of Light tonight, live on talkSPORT 2. Sorry, Fern. I mean, I'm just in.
Don't worry. Look, we've had 2 wins this season, so that's better than nothing. I think that's better than last season as a whole, so I'll take it.
Fantastic. Okay, look, we're struggling a bit with the line, but we will persevere. Just briefly tell us how the bet builder works.
It's crackling, isn't it? Yeah, we've all made some.
Oh, I'll tell you, we're going to get you back. We're going to get you back, Fern, because we're all fancying some instant mashed potato based on the quality of the line.
That's how the bet builder works.
That's how the bet builder works. So we'll get Fern back in a moment so we can do that. Just a reminder that tomorrow we will be speaking to the man who takes a schnitzel round to Harry Kane's house,
isn't it?
Every time he scores a goal.
Yeah.
So that's among our hard-hitting sporting guests tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be reflecting on the window as well. Anything else, Andy, you want to talk about until we get Fern back?
Very briefly, do you remember the survey about British people not realising that they had to peel a banana to eat it? There was a sort of certain percentage of people.
Where did that survey come from?
There was a new one out. 4 out of 10...
You'd know after the first bite, wouldn't you? Surely. Quite bitter.
You might have realised.
Yeah.
4 out of 10 British people couldn't find Australia on a map.
Okay.
Apart from the England cricket team.
Yeah, it would have been helpful if they hadn't. So we got Fern back. Hello, Fern.
Oh, good.
You have. It turns out Zoom doesn't want us to do a bet builder either, does it?
No, that's it. That's right, yeah. So we've gone on the old tech, on the phone. Yeah. So, just tell us how the bet builder works.
Yeah, of course. We've all made some picks across different markets, added them together to get some overall value. I'd then put a £10 bet down, hoping we get it right. Because when we do, and we have done this season a couple of times, you did last week, all that money goes to the Attitude Foundation, who do wonderful work with the LGBT community.
I'll kick us off. I've gone with the Sunderland win. I don't think it's going to be pretty, and I don't think it's going to be particularly high scoring, but I do think they will win.
I know, and an unreal stat. They've not lost any of their 11 home fixtures this season. Just unbelievable. That is why 15,000 people also have this in their bet builder this afternoon. A Sunderland victory, that is in at 4-5.
What have you gone with, Andy?
Brian Brobby. That's a great name.
Yeah.
To have two.
Great name.
I know. To have 2+ shots. He's really playing well. It's been a good signing.
Yeah, he's on a roll at the moment, isn't he? Scored 3 in his last 4 league starts, going up against Burnley, struggling defence. I think shots should be no task for him, actually. He's taken 17 so far in 18 league games. So for 2 shots in this match, that's in at 1-10. He's a super sub as well. So if for any reason he comes off, Paddy Power will protect your bet.
Producer Sean has gone for Enzo Lafay to score or assist any time.
I'm not sure about this one, Sean, because our bet build, I do feel it's quite strong, but this one, I'm just not sure. He's had 3 goals this season and 4 assists, but saying that 2 of those goals have happened in January, it's fairly recent. So, yeah, I'm going to be confident. A goal and a score assist from him. That is in 8-5, fingers crossed.
Now, you'd expect somebody called Lafay to do well on.
Yeah, you would expect so.
I don't know if he's undisclosed.
Undisclosed Lafay, of course. So, the people, this is one of the more popular bet builder bets that your Paddy punters are having. They've gone both teams to score.
They have. It's the second most popular pick after your Sunderland victory, Paul. But a very different position. It has gone under the radar quite a lot, their ability, Burnley, to get on the score sheet. 5 of their last 6 games have ended with both teams scoring. So it is a popular one. They do think that's going to happen, although Sunderland is the most likely to win in their eyes. Both teams to score in this bet builder, that's in at 19-20.
Yeah, I'm not quite as confident on that one.
What about Jonah's selection?
Oh, yeah. Come on, Jonah. What have you gone with?
Jonah, I've gone with Kyle Walker to commit 1 or more fouls, and I've done this. I feel like I've actually chosen this a couple of times, but he's committed 25 fouls in 22 league appearances this season. He's going to be put under pressure by Sunderland's players that go out wide. He's another super sub as well. 1 or more fouls. That's all he's got to get. That's in at 1-5.
Yeah, and if your one comes off and ours don't, feel free to have a go back at us next time we speak later in the week.
I'm having a pop.
Yeah. Okay, folks, so we'll be looking at collectively across the bet then, odds-wise.
You know what, it's not too bad. It all comes in at almost 7-1. So from a £10 bet, you can get a return this evening of £78, which is nice. And if we get it right, all the winnings go straight to the Attitude Foundation. What a way to celebrate the end of the transfer window, eh?
Excellent. Thanks, Fern. Catch up with you soon.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
There we are. There's Fern there. Thanks to her. And that's Paddy's bet builder for today. Minimum odds 1-5 per leg, 18+. BeGamblerAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18+, BeGamblerAware.org.
If you were listening last week, you would have heard boxer Josh Padley. We've been following Josh's career. He was an electrician who stepped up very late on to fight Shakur Stevenson, another big win at the weekend, and gave a great account of himself. And we chatted to Josh last week. He had a European title fight that he won with a knockout in double quick time. Brilliant performance by him, so congratulations. And this Saturday, it's fight night in Liverpool. Nick Ball defends his WBA featherweight title in his hometown against former 2-weight division world champion Brandon Figueroa. And don't miss DAZN's packed fight schedule with fights every week, including the highly anticipated rematch between Lee Wood and friend of the show Josh Warrington. That's February the 21st. Later that evening, live from Vegas, early Sunday morning, high-stakes clash. Ryan Garcia chases his first world title against Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight world title. Then there's the return of Clarissa Shields. She faces Franchon Cruz-Dezem in an undisputed heavyweight rematch on February the 22nd. You can watch all those fights and more only on DAZN.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
seemed like a different team. You know, Fernandes is picking the ball up in areas he wants to, and it looks like he's controlling that midfield. You know, you've got Mainu who's come back into it. He's really, you know, amazing performances, really, when he hasn't played in the Premier League since probably May, isn't it? Something like that. So, you know, certain players have come back in, Ben, and, you know, it looks like they've been let off the leash. And some of the goals against Man United, against Arsenal, Cunha's goal was a fantastic winner, but even the second and first goal, Burmo took it so well.
Yeah, I think United have had these players. They've had players that are verging on the edge of world class. They've had them for the last couple of seasons, but they just haven't been able to show it. They haven't been able to go out there and express themselves and play with a smile on the face. I know this system. We all know this system didn't really suit Man United with three at the back, and it wasn't rocket science to change it to four. It really wasn't. So I think everybody is on board with this kind of confidence, and now everybody. But you look at the fixtures they've got as well: Spurs, West Ham, Everton, Palace. The next 4 games. That guy, the one who hasn't cut his hair for a while, the United Strand guy.
United Strand, yeah.
I'm thinking that he doesn't want these to be wins, you know. I'm thinking, like, what's he going to do for content afterwards? So, they've got a massive chance now. They win these 4 games, they're absolutely flying.
Yeah, I mean, they have been just a breath of fresh air recently. And last week, Ben, was a bit of a free hit. There was no real pressure on Manchester United. The pressure was on Arsenal. Yeah. How do you feel about the state of the league table now? Just to get your thoughts on that. Do you think Arsenal can handle the pressure of being hunted by City and Villa?
I'm a little bit nervous for them, I can't lie. I watched them against United, and they didn't have this real belief to really just go and kill the game. Obviously, they scored the first goal, and don't get me wrong, the equaliser, it completely changed the game. If Zubimendi don't play that pass back inside there, then it's a complete.
Trip to South Africa with the Barmy Army on talkSPORT.
Yes, England are back in South Africa next winter, and the Barmy Army are heading there in full force. This is your chance to be right there with them with a week for 2, the 2027 New Year's Test in beautiful Cape Town. Watch every day of the match, should I say. One of the world's greatest cricket grounds, Newlands. Flights, hotel, and spending money all covered. You'll secure 2 places with the official Barmy Army, putting you right in the heart of the atmosphere with the loudest, proudest fans in cricket. And here's how to enter.
For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close 6th of February 2026 at 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. It's network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 right now, and good luck.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Gabe Turner from Sunderland Till I Die, one of the producers from Full Well 73, and obviously big Sunderland fan, joining us to look ahead to tonight's game against Burnley, live on talkSPORT 2 in a few moments. Before that, one of the more intriguing transfer stories of the day involves an 18-year-old Hearts striker called James Wilson. Arsenal apparently have been chatting to Hearts about potentially bringing him in January. Let's get the thoughts of ESPN broadcaster, friend of the show, and indeed a big Hearts fan, Mark Donaldson. Hi, Mark.
Here he is. We can see him.
You can see him.
We can't hear him.
How are you?
Oh, we got you. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
How are
Mark.
you both?
Good. So, I mean, are you surprised by this, Mark?
A little bit. A little bit. It actually goes back to Brexit, because previously English Premier League clubs could just go and sign players under the age of 18 from European clubs, but now that's a lot harder, if not impossible for some, without big transfer fees. So they've turned their attention north of the border, and a lot more English clubs have got scouts in Scotland. And this is a player who came to prominence last year, Scotland's youngest ever international, against Greece. But with Hearts doing well this season, he struggled for game time. So Arsenal have been linked, but so have Spurs. So it might be a North London battle for the young man.
Would you be sad to see him go?
I don't think he'll get many chances between now and the end of the season. But I want Hearts to get maximum value for him. Now, it would be the terms of the deal if he was to go south. Is it a try before you buy? Is it a loan without an obligation? Because if it is, then it makes sense for the English clubs. For Hearts, what do they get out of it with no guarantee of getting money at the end of the season? So I'd like to see him get more of a chance, but it's like the old West Ham player, Tommy McQueen, who was a former colleague of mine, said when he was up at Aberdeen, he was doing really well for the reserves, and he went to see Alex Ferguson, knocked on the door, said, "Gaffer, I think I should get a chance. I'm doing really well." And Alex Ferguson said to him, "Yeah, I agree with you, you are." And then he pointed to the league table. Aberdeen were top. And he said, "But so am I. Now get out." So it's difficult. It's a true story. It's difficult for James to get into the side. When you're not going to change it just to satisfy a young player to try and keep him at the football club. Manchester United were linked with him when he was 15 years old. He signed a new contract recently. So I'd love to see him stay, but I'd also love to see him get the best opportunity for himself. And right now, I don't think that's at heart. So why not try something different?
He must have something about him if the big clubs are looking at him. So it's odd that Hearts aren't using him, especially, in having such a good season.
What kind of striker is he? How would you say?
He's fast. Yeah, he's good. He's very mobile. He can play coming in off the right-hand side. He can play right through. He's got an eye for goal. Got an equaliser against Hibs in October 2024. He's tall, rangy. He's a prospect, and you're buying potential for an 18-year-old. Some 18-year-olds, you get them from Brazil. They're ready-made. They've been playing first-team football for a couple of years. James is a project who I think could hopefully go to the very top. And I don't see why he shouldn't go down south. And it'll be interesting. Derek McInnes has confirmed that Arsenal made contact with Hearts yesterday on Sunday, but they haven't heard anything today. As far as Spurs is concerned, that's paper talk right now, but there's certainly interest, although an official offer hasn't been made just yet. I think you've got until, 11 o'clock tonight?
Well, 7, actually. Just 7 this time, much earlier these days,
okay. I'm in Connecticut, so hey, I've got an extra 5 hours on me. So.
We appreciate your insight. Thanks very much, Mark.
Thanks, boys. Take care.
Mark Donaldson there from ESPN with the latest on James Wilson. So there we are, Arsenal and Spurs fans. Your card is marked. Let's look ahead to tonight. It's on talkSPORT 2. It's the remaining Premier League game of this round. Sunderland versus Burnley. Joining us now to look ahead to the match from... All right, we're going to do that very shortly. I do apologise. We'll be doing that in a few moments. Okay. Alex Crook's going to join us. It's all happening. It's all very fluid. And James Daly, he's a Palace fan. Jim Daly. I've called him James. Probably his only mum calls him that. Jim Daly's going to join us. Comedian and Palace fan. The man with the worst seat, he thinks, certainly in the Premier League, maybe the world. And look at some of the things that are going on. It's all happening at Palace today. If you've just joined us, it looks like the Mateta deal to AC Milan is off. But Strand Larsen is still coming, and other clubs are in for Mateta on loan, including Juventus and one or two unnamed clubs. Alex Crook's right across that now, trying to find out more, and we'll bring that to you shortly.
looking at the points, they're on the same points as Crystal Palace. They're 2 in front of Leeds. They're 3 in front of Forest. They're 8 ahead of West Ham. They haven't won, though, in any of their last 5 games in the Premier League when they've played Burnley, West Ham, Bournemouth, Sunderland and Brentford. And the next 7 fixtures that they've got look pretty tricky. City at home at the weekend, United away, Newcastle at home, Arsenal at home, Fulham away, Palace at home, Liverpool away, straight after the international break, plus the Champions League fixtures thrown into that. Are they too good to get dragged into a relegation battle?
I think they are, and I think a bigger problem for them as well, Sam, is, like Crookie said there, some of these players are turning up in the Champions League, but are you looking at Simmons and saying, look at the standard of players you're playing against in the Champions League? As well. Yeah, Moani hasn't scored in the Premier League yet, but they're 10 points off Manchester United in 4th position. If I'm the hierarchy at Spurs, I'm saying we want to get back-to-back Champions League seasons. Not going to happen this season because they're miles off.
Can you see them getting back into contention for a European place with games against City, United, Newcastle, Arsenal, Fulham and Palace and Liverpool over the next
They could easily not win a game out of all those games. They could easily not win
he'll be gone if that does happen. You know, he's bought himself a little bit of respite, certainly with a hierarchy. Won't take long for the fans to turn again if they start to struggle against Man City this weekend. If they don't start to put wins on the board, inevitably they're going to make a change.
Solanke could be a player that helps.
The young French centre-half Jeremy Jacquet is having his Liverpool medical today. They've beaten Chelsea to Jacquet's signature by allowing him to stay at Rennes till the summer. Liverpool will pay £55 million initially, with £5 million in add-ons. Meanwhile, former Palace chairman Simon Jordan has given his verdict on their deal with Wolves for Jørgen Strand Larsen.
I don't think he's a good player. No. I mean, but ultimately, if Crystal Palace do, then that's the £48 million that they've spent. I would imagine the Mateta deal will go through.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine them spending money that they haven't already recouped.
Elsewhere on deadline day, talkSPORT understands Fulham have rejected Everton's offer for Harry Wilson. Meanwhile, we're hearing the Cottagers' move for PSV striker Ricardo Pepi could still be on. All the latest deals, as always, at talksport.com. Now, Martin Keown has shared his reaction to Paul Scholes saying Arsenal would be the worst team ever to win the title.
Look, I love Paul, but, you know, this is like one of his comments, is like one of his tackles, isn't it? It's waist high.
And England's former white ball captain Jos Buttler is backing his predecessor Harry Brook to keep that job.
He's a very natural leader. He's incredibly calm, tactically reads the game brilliantly, leads with the bat. Like the way he plays is fantastic. And I think he's got an incredible mindset. He doesn't seem fazed by much.
Well, Brook says he lied about that New Zealand nightclub incident ahead of the Ashes to protect his teammates.
Anthony on his left foot. What a finish! Jadon Anthony.
Robbie is waiting in the centre. Here's Brian Brobby with the header and it's a goal and they're back in the game.
I think we're stronger because we're halfway through a season now where the players have experienced, been in and around it, learned from their mistakes, learn and have an understanding of what the Premier League requires.
It's Liverpool 1, Burnley 1.
For Sunderland, it's a rare day off. West Ham United beat Sunderland by 3-1.
Target remains the same. It might be boring, but it's always the case. We want to reach 40 points.
And if they do, they will solidify their place in the Premier League for next season. 36 points by the end of January. That is absolutely stellar for a promoted club.
Yeah, an amazing season so far for Sunderland. I'm sure exceeding the expectations of their fans. One win in 6, though, recently. It was kind of understandable with everybody off at AFCON. But a good chance tonight to pick up 3 points. Joining us now to look ahead to the game is Gabe Turner, producer of Sunderland Till I Die. Fullwell 73. Good afternoon, Gabe.
Hey, mate, how are you?
Yeah, we're good. I mean, it's not fair to say the wheels have come off, but this was always likely to happen. It was you just set off at such a lick, didn't you, really, that there was always going to be a bit of a levelling off.
Yeah, I mean, we lost some players to AFCON, and obviously Granit Xhaka's now injured. He didn't play against West Ham, and actually that made a huge difference, more so than any of the AFCON players. Granit Xhaka not playing, and I don't think he's playing tonight, and I think he's out for another game after that. I don't think he's at the Arsenal game either. So, yeah, we're struggling a little bit without our quarterback on the middle of the pitch, dictating play, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, he's been one of the signings of the season. I remember when they beat Chelsea at the Bridge, he was brilliant that day.
Yeah, I mean, he is so key, isn't he? I think he's out for about another 2 or 3 weeks, as you say, but he has just been so important, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. I think also you only realise, because I was thinking, why is everyone going on about Xhaka? He has been amazing, but so's everyone. You know, Mukiele's been unbelievable. Ballard's been unbelievable. Loads of players have been great. But actually, the minute you take him out of the team, you realise that a lot of those players are playing so well because of him, because he brings everyone into the game and he conducts. So, yeah, we really missed him. But I'm delighted that Gertruda hasn't gone to Liverpool. I'm hoping he'll slot in today, centre mid, because I was worried about losing him too.
You've done a bit of business. We understand here at talkSPORT that you're going to be signing the Ecuadorian winger, and there's been some good bargains coming out of Ecuador in recent years. Nilson Angulo, coming from Anderlecht, 17.5 million, inclusive of add-ons, and Simon Adingra is going to go off to Monaco, apparently. But have you been Googling Nilson Angulo?
I've been watching Nelson Angulo for years, guys. I know my Nelson Angulo story. No, I haven't been Googling too much. I didn't think we would do that much business because we've obviously got all the AFCON players back, and we have quite a full squad. So I thought we wouldn't do much, but that sounds very exciting. Adingra, interestingly, is one of the few, lovely player, but he hasn't really worked out. He's one of the only ones who hasn't really worked out. So I don't think that's a huge drama losing him.
Another major success has been Brian Brobby. Everybody loves his name.
Love the man.
He's good, though,
love the
isn't he?
man.
He's having a great season.
Oh, I mean, no one holds the ball up like Brian Brobby. And you saw that at Chelsea, of course, in the last minute when he just squared it to Talby.
Absolutely. And he scored against us, of course, an absolute corker.
No, he's a really, really good player. Not all strikers who come from Dutch league do well, but he has done really well.
Yeah.
And it took a while to get going. At the beginning, his touch looked a bit off, but yeah, that goal against Tottenham was absolute. It was a rocket.
So you feeling pretty confident? I could see tonight maybe just being a 1-0. I can imagine Burnley will want to keep it tight and they might frustrate you a bit, but I just think you might just edge it this evening.
I hope so. I mean, we played them the first time they beat us. We'd just come off the back of beating West Ham 3-0 and then they beat us. And I'm hoping this time we lost to West Ham and we'll beat them. But I think it'll be tight. They're a good team. I think all the 3 teams that came up have been really good this year. So, take nothing for granted, but hopefully we get 3 points.
I wonder if Sunderland fans go back and watch Sunderland Till I Die to kind of appreciate where they are now.
Yeah,
so
it would
be. I mean, it would. I think if you go back to Series 1 where the team were at, it's not been that long, and it has been some turnaround, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, I think that the owner's done an unbelievable job. The recruitment and the way they've changed the club around from Burton, losing at Burton and going down to League One, and then getting stuck there for a bit, Donald taking over. You look at those days, the squad, just the general atmosphere, what the new owner's done. Has been nothing short of miraculous, really. And now it's just exciting to go to games. And even we lost at West Ham and, you're still having fun just being there, watching this team. They give it all and they're a great side. And, yeah, every Sunderland fan, I think, is just excited every game.
Brilliant. Okay, enjoy the game. Good to talk to you. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
There's Gabe Turner there from Fullwell 73, who are the producers of Sunderland Till I Die. And, of course, we're all big Sunderland fans. And that one live on talkSPORT 2 tonight, because we're going to be deadline day heavy for you here on talkSPORT with Jim White, Alex Crookland, Danny Murphy, Adrian Durham, your host, Cameron Pope, your commentator, and Dean Ashton is alongside him. And you can get your calls in to the sports bar at 10 o'clock with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. They'll reflect on all the deals that are done in the window. and also be looking back on that game. And there could be some late business. The Arsenal one is interesting. As you said, Arsenal was previous for getting out of left field deals done. They're looking for a Merino replacement, they've said, but they have just over 3 and a bit hours to do it, which is not going to be easy. So, don't forget 4 o'clock, deadline day drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. They're going to end half an hour earlier, so Jim is with you with Crookie and Danny Murphy as the window slams shut. We're going to have a chat with Palace supporting comedian Jim Daly very shortly, because it's all been going on at their place. If Arteta doesn't, if Mateta doesn't get the move he wants, he's probably got some making up to do.
Probably, yeah.
After my head's not right, I don't feel I can play at the moment.
You put the ball in the net and everybody forgive him. You know.
Yeah, I think it looks like he is going to go somewhere, but our own Alex Crook is out there at the moment working on that. So, as we said, Jim Daly joining us, Alex Crook popping in once again just to get us up to speed before we hand over to the boys on Drive. We're here as always with our good friends at Tool Station. Pick up your wet weather essentials today. Next stop, Tool Station.
Look, Ross the Motherwell fan has texted a little bit cruelly, but says, I might be wrong, but I'm sure it was that sausage Rodri that complained about the length of the grass at Hampden when Mighty Scotland pumped Spain 3-2.
He's right.
Do you think, though, in truth, that Rodri he's more frustrated by the level of City's performance than he is by officials?
Well, he has to be, and he'll probably, something. He's just a phenomenal player, Jeff. Absolutely fantastic player. And, there's no getting away from it. And he's not firing on all cylinders yet, coming back for, as you correctly say, a very, very serious injury. And he will get back to fitness. You see signs of it. He's still not there yet. So with that comes frustration, right? There's no getting away from it, because you want to be at the level that you can be. So you start looking at other things, and other things that generally wouldn't really get to you start annoying you. Wee things. Now, he might have a point with Solanke maybe touching Gahey at the back. But I've watched it. I reckon I've watched it, but no joke, Jeff. I've sat and watched that about 30 times this morning, right? Now, the goal itself, it does really well with Kusanov, shrugs him off, great physical strength. Now, he sticks his leg through Gahey's leg. He probably, you can't tell from the angle when you're looking at it. What you can tell is he does make contact with the ball, right? Ever so slight contact with the ball, then it goes on to Gahey's foot and goes into the back of the net. Jeff, I'm giving a goal all day, right? I think probably the vast majority of goal scorers would give a goal all day. But the problem isn't that. The problem's not that decision not going Manchester City's way. The problem is Manchester City collapsing the way they did in the second half. I mean, and for Rodri to talk about refereeing decisions, the referee would have been well within his...
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Andy Goldstein, Darren Bent ups with. They're going to be up next with Deadline Day Drive. Slightly shorter show because Alex Crook will be back with Jim White and Danny Murphy at 6:30 as the window slams shut. He has popped in, Crookie, and Palace are really keeping the pot boiling this afternoon, aren't they, for us?
They are, and I think this is probably a reflection of the fact that they fear there's a chance they get dragged into relegation danger. That's why they're trying to give Oliver Glasner the tools to see them to safety. Jurgen Strand-Larsen from Wolves in what would be a club record deal, £43 million, plus $5 million in add-ons. Looks like that will still go ahead, despite the fact that Jean-Philippe Mateta, as we told you, half an hour or so ago, his move to AC Milan is off. There's concerns over a potential knee operation that Mateta is going to need down the line. So Milan have pulled out of that deal. Juventus are now trying to sign Mateta on loan, but of course the clock is ticking towards the 7 o'clock deadline. Palace also interested in Dwight McNeil at Everton, and they're looking to bring in a centre-back between now and 7 o'clock as well. Ethan Pinnock, who isn't getting much game time at Brentford, is a possibility. In terms of Wolves, 2 in there today, Angel Gomez and Adam Armstrong, the Southampton striker, both undergoing medicals. They tried for Shea Adams as well, but Torino rebuffing that approach. So it looks like the Scotland striker stays in Serie A at least until the end of the season. Tyreek George is undergoing his medical at Everton ahead of a loan move from Chelsea. I'm told that one is progressing. Nottingham Forest, well, they just can't resist doing a little bit of business on deadline day, can they? They've got a £2 million deal agreed for the Borussia Mönchengladbach left-back Luca Netz, and also Sunderland bringing in an Ecuadorian winger. This is going to be a deal worth £17.5 million to include add-ons Nilson Angulo, and that will free up Simon Adingra, who only joined Sunderland in the summer, to join Monaco on loan with an option at the end of the season. So there is business being done up and down the Premier League.
A couple of things we should keep an eye on. As we said, Arsenal looking to replace Mourinho, and they say they've got a history of coming up with very late deals. So that is one of them. And maybe some of the other clubs that could be linked to Mateta, maybe even a Premier League side. Have you heard anything yet?
Yeah, well, when the move to Milan broke down, the information I got from sources at Palace that there were several clubs who were interested in signing him on loan. He was linked with Tottenham earlier in the window. That was played down. Manchester United have had historic interest, but I don't think they're planning on doing any business today. Just on Juventus and Mateta, one of the reasons they've come to the party so late, they tried to get Kolo Muani at Tottenham to terminate his loan, but Spurs need to keep him. They also tried for Joshua Zirkzee, but as I reported at lunchtime, he's now going to stay at Manchester United until the end of the season. So I guess it just shows you the fact Juventus also came in for Beto. I have that on very good authority earlier in the window. It shows the lack of number 9s around Europe.
Yeah. Well, you'll be back, say, at 6:30, but you'll be popping up with Andy and Benty throughout the afternoon as well, keeping an eye on what's going on.
Yeah, counting down to that 7 o'clock deadline. Isn't it nice that the deadline's at 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
7 o'clock.
Better for you, yeah. Nice one. So, as we said, a special show from 6:30.
Well done.
Thanks very
Good
much.
work.
Deadline Day Drive with, he's coming up next with Andy and Benty, and then 6:30, Danny Murphy with Crookie, and, of course, Mr. Deadline Day himself, Jim White. They'll be here at 6:30 with a window closing at 7. Say Palace keeping the pot boiling, as we just said. There's lots going on at the club. We're going to chat to a Palace fan very shortly. Jim Daly, the comedian, who in his show, in his act, has talked about his quite poor view as a season ticket holder at Selhurst. Let's give you a flavour of that. You'll be able to see Jim's view if you're watching on Connect TV or on YouTube.
Even like watching a game at Selhurst, right, is very close. So this is my season ticket seat, right? Often you'll get it with old style stands. I sit in the main stand. Like sometimes you can get a restricted view, right? So this is my seat in the main stand. I got a restricted view of the goal. Like that's fair enough. That happens, yeah, but not both goals. Come on! That's just so unfair. To be honest, previous to this season, that actually was really beneficial.
That's very funny.
Yeah, it's true. Jim has got a pillar in front of both goals where he sits at Selhurst Park. Good afternoon, Jim.
Afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me on for this
pleasure.
very, very serious issue.
Yes, I mean, how did that happen? I mean, when did you sat there? You just bought a ticket sight unseen? Is that the way it worked?
No, I've been there for a while, to be honest, and I just feel like I've been there about 5-6 years. I feel like now it's time for me to say something. You know, it's come too far. The only reason I want my view of Palace goals blocked is Palace's own inability to score goals. That's the only thing And I've been thinking I might offer my seat to Oliver Glasner because clearly he hates watching Palace currently as well.
It's a strange thing with Palace. It was all going so well, wasn't it? The cup win, the Charity Shield, everything looked rosy, and then player sales and the manager leaving. It's tough now.
It is. It's very Palace. It's what we do. The way deadline day is going, I'm wondering if actually the beams in front of me might be better than Mateta up front, probably more mobile, if I'm being totally honest. Listen, this is a serious issue. What I would like to do before I talk about Palace, I'd like to shout out to your listeners. If there's anyone out there that's got a worse season ticket view than me, find me on social media at Jim Daly Comedy. Send me photos, and the best photo, I'll give you free tickets to my tour show. We've got to address this issue, guys.
Yeah, because you're not alone. There are people. A friend of mine went off for Goodison, and again, saying he couldn't see. I don't think he could see either goal. But that's
probably
not
better at Hill Dickinson.
That's not his season ticket. That was, I think, it was one of the last games there. But the old grounds with the old pillars, Jim. That was, we used to get that at Spurs in one of our stands. We had the big.
Oh yeah.
So it happened back in the old days, didn't it?
I mean, bear in mind, so I sit in the main stand at Palace. Bear in mind that is 101 years old, so it's only slightly older than Roy Hodgson. So you have to take that into account when we think about these things. But yes, it's something you've got to put up with. Palace are building a new main stand. Well, they promised it for the last 10 years. I'll probably be as old as Roy Hodgson when it happens. But let's see what happens then. Maybe I'll get a bit of you then.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the transfer market, and it looks like Mateta's not going to Milan, but he could still be going to Juve. If he doesn't and he rocks up, you're going to be expecting an apology.
No, I suspect that most Palace fans will change the boom to boo with dropping the M at the end.
Yeah.
I wonder if they might, if he comes back, offer him a new contract. But my main worry would be him missing the paper when he signs it. So to be honest, I don't. I think his relationship with Palace fans might be sadly at an end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good last year, though, wasn't he? It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just that this last thing about not being in the right frame of mind to play, and just. So you really feel he's gone off the boil. He won't be missed as much as he would have been a while back.
We can't create chances and we can't score goals, so anyone's better than no one. To be honest, I'm not really in the right frame of mind to watch Palace at the moment. The way things are going, so I understand where he's coming from, but I don't know. I'm slightly worried the season's unravelling, but to be honest, I'm unravelling as well, so I can relate to that. But I'd be surprised if he plays again for us.
And what about Strand Larsen? What do you make of that deal?
I think it's very Palace to be signing a player for £50 million that scored one goal all season. But I don't think he had a good season last season, so I'm gonna pretend we're signing last season Strand Larsen.
Yeah.
But I do like him, and he's younger than Mateta, so it makes sense. But Palace spending £50 million is unheard of. I remember the days when we spent $500,000 on Andy Dorman, and we thought that was exciting. So we've come a long way, guys.
And they need to do something though, don't they? 'Cause they don't want to get dragged into it.
Well, I think they already have been dragged into it. Dwight McNeil's another possibility. They reckon 20 million from. So, I mean, if you think about it, they could be close to spending 100 million quid. We know they've got it from player sales, but still feels like a lot of money.
At this point, I'm like, £20 million for Dwight McNeil? Yeah, why not?
Yeah. It's not your money, is it?
Anymore, guys. I don't know what's happening to this football club, but we need players. I might take my boots next Saturday because I wonder I might get a chance as well. We need players. Dwight McNeil, yeah, he's fine. At this point, as long as we don't get relegated, and I agree, we might get dragged into it, then I'll be happy. But this is Palace. You never know what's going to happen.
I was going to ask you about Brennan Johnson, because I'm a Tottenham fan, and I was a bit sad to see him go at the start of the window, but I've noticed one or two Palace fans getting stuck into him already. What have you made of him so far?
Well, I was going to ask you about Brennan Johnson. The question is going to be, what does Brennan Johnson do? I think he's struggled. I don't think we're the best team to join right now. I think we're a team that you will struggle to fit into at the moment. We don't create chances. We're not great going forward, but he's obviously not bad. He was Spurs' top goal scorer last season, so he can't be terrible.
No.
But
if you play him in the right way,
goals, what does he do?
Well, if you can work the system around him, under Ange Postecoglou, he was a kind of Johnny on the spot. He'd often pop up. He'd make good runs. He'd time his runs well, and he was a good finisher from close in. He was a bit of a poacher for us, and I often wondered why they couldn't play him through the middle. The only problem he drifts out of games. Sometimes you forget he's there. He doesn't get as involved in matches as he should, and that was a criticism certainly under Frank. But
I find I drift out of games currently as well, to be honest. Also, is Johnny on the spot available? And how much is he going to cost?
Johnny on the spot. Wouldn't be good. Johnny on the spot. Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't replace Glasner, because it's never good when a manager declares.
And he had a bit of a pop again at the weekend, Jim, didn't he? He seems to be constantly having a go at the hierarchy.
You know when you're leaving a job and you just coast for the last few months. I feel like that's what Glasner's doing. I feel like his head's elsewhere. But that guy could burn down Selhurst and become Brighton manager, and I'd still love him for what he's done for us.
Job. Yeah.
I don't care. He's just best manager we've ever had, and I'll always love him, no matter what.
Well, you are on tour, Jim, aren't you? As you said, you've got your tour coming, Match of the Daily. People can check out all the dates at jimdalycomedy.com. It seems to have a bit of a football theme. It's nice. There you are in your football shirt. Beautiful.
Thank you. I'm glad Andy liked the title. Look, I always wanted a pun title for a name for a show, so this is great. And yeah, the clip you showed before is part of the show. It's football comedy. It's I got a bit where I take the mick out of every club in England, which people seem to enjoy. I do these sort of heckle comebacks. I do some of the songs I'm known for online. It's a fun show. It's family friendly. And if you support a team like Palace and you need a bit of light relief, it's the perfect show to come to. So I'm on tour from the end of April till the middle of June at 6 locations currently. Tickets are at jimdalycomedy.com/tour. Selling already, which is great. So be quick if you want to come along. And if you've got a bad seat at a ground, send me a photo. It might make it into the show. And then, we can lobby the FA. We can get this sorted, guys.
The venues you're using on the tour, there are no pillars.
Yeah, that would be
what
good.
are the sightlines like?
Very ironic.
In the theatre.
That's a fair point. Do you know what? I'm going to investigate that. And if there's any bad sightlines, I'm pulling the tour, lads. It's been cancelled.
Good stuff. Well, all the best, Jim. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
There's comedian Jim Daly, as he said, Jim Daly Comedy. It's right up the street, of course, of talkSPORT listeners. An evening of football comedy.
I like that.
He'll be playing in London, Brighton, Manchester, Birmingham and Liverpool between April and June. Excuse me. So, I think we're done, more or less, Andy.
We are.
There's still bits and pieces out there that you feel could get... There's not been the big deal from out of left field.
No.
I'd still say keep an eye on Arsenal looking to replace Mikel Merino, as we said. With Arsenal's their recruitment department have pulled a rabbit out of the hat.
You don't think Spurs
in the
will
past.
bring anybody else in?
Doesn't look like it. I'm a bit disappointed considering we've got 12 injuries currently, and there was all this talk of the mythical £100 million, and some of which could be on the commitment of Joe Lewis's kids. Well, I mean, effectively they've spent Brennan Johnson money on Conor Gallagher and brought in a young Brazilian player for about 17, 18 million quid. So that has been the sum total. We'll see if that was the right decision or not, I'm sure, as the season unfolds. You'll be getting your calls into Jamie and Jason tonight, because you'll know what business your club has done. There could be some last bits of business, but if not, you can sound off with the fellas from 10. But stay tuned for Andy Goldstein, Darren Bent with a slightly truncated deadline day drive, and then Jim White, Alex Crook and Danny Murphy take over at 6:30 right through until 10. And don't forget Sunderland Burnley over on talkSPORT 2, all the build up from 7. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. Till then, keep it talkSPORT for all the latest on the window. And it is Andy and Benty next.
People talking about you being champions, some of it mischievously, from some people saying this would be the worst ever Arsenal team. You just go and win it. Doesn't matter what you look like.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all. Just go and win it, Jim. And obviously that